Hello everybody and welcome to Mass Effect 2174. It's bad that I always have to look to see what the name is in the corner. What year is it? Ooh.
Name for the game that's easier for you to remember.
Yeah. Well, the number is easy. It's just I'm like, oh, it's the third number. Which number is it now? But whatever. Anyways, all right. So let's kind of recap last week really quickly to find out where we were. So last week started off with some people's injured, some people's not so injured, over where the large Batarian vessel had crash landed and split into two very large pieces, separated by about 2 kilometers. You had Constantinia way up ahead, rerouting some information back to the rest of the party, and you had Icarus decrypting that information and sharing it with everybody else. You guys use this info to kind of like come up with a plan, which was get one of the broken fighters' guns up and running so you could shoot the other fighters out of the sky, and then more or less deal with people as they ran your way. As they came towards you, Icarus happens to have a sniper rifle and happened to roll insanely well in all of his sniper rifle checks, and so took out almost all the targets from a vantage point. I mean, it's one of those things where it's like, but is it really that easy? Couldn't you have made it more difficult? It's 2 kilometers! And he has a sniper rifle that could shoot 1,000 meters. Like, that's a kilometer. Like, it was an easy... So, it was pretty cool seeing you guys take that stuff out. After you finished defeating all the bad guys that came at you, the Batarians that came at you, you infiltrated the other half, freed all the slaves that were there, finished off all the Batarians, knocked one guy out because he was being obnoxious. Eventually started scavenging things, went back to the 2 locations, the rebel area and the main city. Spoke to the leaders of those areas, got lots of support, nobody believes you're leaving the planet. Went back to Frank's vessel, Sid's vessel, and have been repairing it for some time, getting it up and running. You made some deals along the way where you're able to bring NPC with you, as well as Sid's friend. And finally, the leader of the rebels to come with you as well. Now, I know that Icarus, I don't think Icarus really had a care as to what was joining the group. Cid only really cared that her friend was able to join the group because there's somewhat of an engineer. What's his name? Carmine only cared that his friend joined the group just because it's one of those, I can't leave him stranded here. He's actually a pretty good guy. I don't want to, pick up curtains with him, but it'd be nice if, he wasn't stranded on a shithole of a planet, so let's at least drop him off somewhere else. And Constantinia did not want any of them on the vessel. So, we'll kind of figure that out. As a reminder to that vessel that you guys have been crafting for some time, I know you guys have a bit of an image for it. But it's a decent-sized Solarian vessel, very, very old Solarian vessel, and it has all sorts of details to it. Give me 1 second. Let's see. It comes equipped with like a med bay, escape pods, cryo units, all sorts of things like that are on there. Just remember there is that handout that we do have. That handout will show those things to you. I'm actually going to bring that handout right here, trying to make it so it's somewhat visible on stream. Like this. There we go. So you can kind of see where all the different compartments are for the vessel and where everything can be. Might be a little bit difficult to read, like say the hot pink color or whatever, but you do have all sorts of different attachments and whatnot to the vessel for various jobs as you're flying the ship. The one I'm going to point out is the cryo units, because you could always freeze somebody's ass instead of dealing with them, Constantinia, or you can just flat out murder them. I'm not here to judge, but. Anyways, that is our recap. You just got the ship up and running, fully functioning, but have not left the planet yet. Why don't we bring it to Cid, who is literally sitting where the pilot would sit on the ship, having just been working on the thing, firing it up, da-da-da-da. We're going to have Icarus over inside one of the engineering areas, assisting the young boy, who is also working in the engineering area, trying to make sure everything's up and running, the power fluctuations are balanced, so on and so forth. You have Carmine, who has probably been just, claiming a bunk and, checking out the weapons of the vessel and realizing...
Calibrating.
Yeah, you can calibrate all you want. The problem is currently this vessel doesn't have enough power to fire the gun if need be. It's one of those like, can you actually do me a favor, Rick? We're gonna have you start off with a lore check, lore intelligence, and then Constantinia. I honestly don't know. You tell me, Aaron. What would Constantinia be doing on the vessel?
I would be harassing Carmine and what he intends to do next.
Oh,
Harassing. That's such a hostile work environment.
It's a very hostile term.
we'll get to the RP of that in 1 second. So Carmine, one of the things that you're going to notice as you're looking over the vessel and you're trying to like figure things out is clearly, as I've already stated, the ship does not have a gun that can function while everything else is online. However, you're actually seeing, like, based off of the way this thing was kind of thrown onto here, the dips inside the fluctuation, everything, the power that's coming into it, and the draw for it, you're actually seeing that there's an opportunity that if you find the right parts, if you get the right mechanic to work on it, you might actually be able to reduce the amount of draw required for this gun because of the upgraded piece of equipment you just put into the ship. Meaning you could have the rest of the ship online and still be able to fire the gun at the same time. The name of the device is a... Give me 1 second, I'll look it up for you. But it's something that, you just realize, like, hey, we actually have an opportunity here. Maybe we should seize it. It's a specialized mounting, is what it's called.
Ah, yeah, right. I get it.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So, anyways, we'll go to you first. You're kind of coming to this realization while fiddling with wires and whatnot, while Constantini is pestering you about what your plans are next. So, Constantini has been pestering you. Go ahead.
I don't know, we'll just put them in cryo while we fly to the Citadel or whatever. We alert the authorities, like, hey, there's a bunch of people stranded there. And we just let them go their separate ways.
Okay.
Players are quiet. There we go. Fixed it. Sorry about that. All right, go ahead.
No. Okay.
Okay. Awesome.
I agree.
She says, I agree. Were you also inquiring, Aaron, about the like what his plans were because the mission has been completed? Is that the other point of your questioning?
No.
Okay, cool.
I just want to know how we were completing this one.
All right, gotcha.
No.
Okay. So, were there any other peoples that you wanted to bring onto your vessel with you? Because there were those 3 NPCs. Were there any other NPCs that you wanted to bring as well? Say amongst the slaves that they had, the Batarians had, and you released?
I mean, we should bring whoever we can fit, I imagine.
Yeah, we might as well bring, like, a couple people that we just jam in cryo or whatever. I don't know.
Your cryo bay can hold 8 people.
Are there any of them that look like really important or that would be important to the Alliance to be returned?
Some of these, I mean, it's a really good question. Why don't you roll for me a talk charisma or a lore wisdom?
Oh, those are both terrible. I'll go for the lore. That's lore wisdom. Okay, that's not going to be a good roll.
It's not terrible. There is one person that you realize may be of significance because there's somebody that's actually not from this planet. There's somebody that was carted to this planet at one point in time. They are a member of the Alliance, a much more recent member of the Alliance, and so they're younger and whatnot, and understands the galaxy as it functions, almost as well as you do, that they've been in captivity for a couple of years. So this person would have some significance. He's only a lieutenant, nothing like super high rank.
I'd suggested to the group, like, hey, he's a lieutenant in the Alliance. We might be able to get some brownie points with them if we bring him back.
I think we should bring whoever we can back, who wants to go back.
Well, we're going to have an entire planet jumping outside our ship at that point. They all want to go. But I agree. We might as well.
7.
Okay, so how are you going to plan these 7 to, like, find out who they are and strategically pick them? Are you going to have, like, an open roll call, or...?
You, and you.
Okay. So you
Works for me.
I mean, I would just say pick 7 who want to go.
And how are you going to communicate this with them?
Icarus will remind you that telling anyone about the ship puts the
Is a
whole
bad
planet
idea.
in a state of chaos.
Have you ever
Then
found
just
a
pick 7.
watering hole and told anyone about it? Because that person's going to tell someone else, and that person's going to tell 3 other people. They're all going to go to that watering hole and overrun it.
We've
I'm not
already
familiar with the
told
metaphor.
far too many humans on this planet of your plans. Telling more only serves to continue to greater the risks.
Besides, we're going to your Citadel anyways. We'll just tell them. They'll send a
Then
ship or something.
take the slaves who aren't yet a part of the community.
They've been here long enough.
We have no reason
They'll
to take
adapt.
any others. It'll only put more stress on the ship's power reserves operating more cryo tanks.
I look at Carvin and I kind of shrug. It's like, you're kind.
I mean, I do intend to walk into the embassy at the Citadel immediately. Just be like, hey, there's people there that might need help, so... Effectively, it's not going to be much of a change for them.
I can vouch
Maybe.
for that.
It might be a week or so that they stay here.
But letting
Besides-
them know they are about to be rescued would cause dramatics.
Mass panic. Hysteria.
They are
Probably
better not to
riots.
know. Definitely
You might be right.
riots.
We'll bring the lieutenant, and then we'll, like, just blast off, I suppose.
See, he's not
With
from
that-
around here. We can take him. He'd probably die soon anyways.
I mean, he's actually the one that I have more faith in than, like, all the other people combined, but, you know. It might do well to bring him to give further credit to our message.
You are all more familiar with human behavior than I am.
Great, that's settled then.
Cool. So, how is it you want to communicate this to the gentleman?
I just walk up to him at some point and start reminiscing about the good old days.
Sure.
The Alliance.
Absolutely. Why don't you actually roll me a talk charisma check, as you're obviously trying to kind of like make friends with him. But I'm even going to give you a +2 on this.
I'm gonna need it.
Ha. 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 Oh, you rolled garbage. So it's one of
I
those
know.
things where you walk up to him and you're trying to be friendly and reminiscent on the good old days. But unfortunately, it's not that like he's in a dour mood. I mean, he went from being a member of the Alliance, one of the most powerful galactic forces, in this huge intergalactic, interracial community that exists, right? And to being a slave. And so the only good old days they can think of is freedom, fresh water, da 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 da. So you're trying to make a connection with this person, open up with them, but unfortunately, you just can't break that mood. You just can't get them to stop being mopey and whiny about the fact
Do I
that
still have, like, a tiny bit of my water that I brought for me from space?
I would say yes.
I'd give it to him.
Like, we're talking a couple sipfuls that you've probably been saving to clean out a wound or something, you know?
Yeah, I'd give him, like, the last pure space water that I still have.
All right. So you give him the water, and it's one of those things where you do that to try to cheer him up. Because you do that, I will even be so kind as to give you a reroll. But this time, no +2.
Oh, good.
He'll be oh so kind.
There
Actually,
we go.
it's literally the taste of that fresh water. You know what I mean? That cool, soothing water rolling down his throat. He hasn't had this in years, right? It's just kind of, it makes him stop and really appreciate it and love it for what it is. And finally he breaks through and he looks back to you and he's like, what I wouldn't give to be able to drink this every day. This off of Alliance ship, or you grab this off a planet?
I brought it with me when I came falling down. He just points at the sky.
Yeah, we all got stuck here one way or another. Oh.
Is there anyone else around, or is it just us?
I imagine there's other people around, but nobody like, what are you guys talking about?
I'd invite him at that point to go along with a little stroll.
Sure. He'd be like, kind of like look around, judge for a second, and be like, yeah, I'll come with you. And starts walking with you. And this is when he opens up, and as you were trying to say beforehand, the good old days, starts talking to you about the Alliance and whatnot. How much do you open up about who you are?
Not much. I wouldn't mention my first name. I just go by name's Carmine. The same I do with everyone else.
Gotcha. Let me have him make a lore check really quickly. Here we go. Where is lore to see if they know who you are? Probably not. It has no clue who you are. So, all right, you're walking with him, talking with him. Continue.
You said you'd give anything to be able to drink pure water again every day, right?
Well, almost everything. Almost anything, yeah.
Might be easier than you think.
You know where a watering hole is?
I know how to get off this planet. We plan to go.
You walked away with me before you said that. That means you
Yes,
don't have
that's
a way
correct.
you don't have a way for everybody to get off.
I imagine the ship's like a free merchant.
It's like half.
I don't really know.
Yeah. It's I called it a friggin' fighter when I was like designing with Frank forever ago, because it's like halfway between a fighter and a frigate. So it's like between those two sizes. But go ahead.
Yeah, I'll give him like the rough estimate. It's like you can imagine that it's not going to be able to carry a lot of people. But my hope is that if we walk into the Alliance embassy back on the Citadel, we might be able to persuade some eggheads, top brass, that these people back here deserve a second chance at life, away from this blasted rock.
Just can't tell anybody, huh?
Pretty
Expect
much.
the Alliance to come pick them up. I don't see why the Alliance wouldn't. It does feel wrong, doesn't it? Leaving them here.
It does. I've had to make a lot of tough calls in my career so far, but it's with their best interests in mind. If we go, we have the highest chance of being able to convince the Alliance that they should come back here for the rest of them. And telling them would only cause needless panic.
I agree with your approach on that. I'm just trying to decide if I actually want to come with you. If I stay here, I can get a medal. Better path for promotion. Nah, fuck it. I'm coming with you.
Sensible choice.
And so he kind of just agrees to come along. I imagine you kind of slide into conversation the fact that he'll be cryo-frozen. And he's a little resistant to it at first, but he did get that 9 earlier, so I will. So he does agree to go along with it. Who's going to talk to the rest of the peoples? Oh, you're not bringing anybody else. It was just him you're bringing, right? Okay, never mind. Cool. So he does agree to it. All right, so let's go back to the ship. When everything was coming back online, as I said, you had Sid that was sitting over at the pilot's seat in the cockpit, and you had Icarus that was sitting over in engineering with the kid in the other half of engineering. And when the ship comes back online, by the way, the kid's name is Dylan, for the record. I don't know if it was, yeah.
Oh, he's got a name.
Yeah,
cool.
Yeah.
I don't care if I need the name. I like the name. I like to have names.
Yeah.
Otherwise, he's just a faceless blob in my brain.
Well, you already know what his personality is like.
Yeah, but Scott.
Dylan. If you gotta have a stuttering character, you have to give them like a D or like a hard consonant to start their name, right? You can't be like Audrey. You know?
Do M and just like prolong it like Matt. So it's just like it's a it's like
Yeah.
one
Matt.
syllable. There you go. That's nice. Softer.
So advice from Aaron: if your child has a stutter, rename them to soft-sounding names.
Oh, why advice to Aaron? Aaron's like the one person who's like not planning on having children
No,
ever,
from
except for
Aaron.
maybe Ollie.
Advice from
Oh,
Aaron.
from Aaron.
Yeah,
Yeah,
to
he's right
Ollie
here.
actually.
I don't
Because
want
Ollie
no
should have
children.
lots of kids. Ollie
Yeah,
should
like
have all
six.
the
I just
kids.
want a lot of cats.
Ugh. All right, moving
I'm gonna be a
on.
crazy cat man.
Crazy cat. The
So-
life.
So you, as the thing's coming back online, all the systems are going whatnot. Could both of you guys roll for me? Your choice: electronics or decryption intelligence for me, please.
Both who?
You and Frank.
Electronic or decryption?
Correct. Intelligence. Oh, that was a good roll.
I
Alright.
have hacker, I think.
Awesome. So it's one of those things where the two of you guys are sitting there and looking at the computer as you get it all powered up and all of the systems come online. All of like the files and everything become prevalent before you. You last time you'd done this before, Sid, couldn't really understand most of what you were coming across because it's in Solarian and you don't speak Solarian. As I said before, you had done some slight alterations to make sure you can understand what it was that you were doing for flying the vessel. A combination.
I like the idea of the code has a ton of notes from Sid because he can't understand the language.
Just made the spaghetti code even more spaghetti.
Yeah.
Oh god.
So while you're in there, like looking at these things, checking out all the files, all this stuff, Icarus, it's actually you that comes across a very interesting file. You already knew beforehand this was some sort of research vessel. You knew that there was no question about it. As you go to check out this file, you realize this is actually all the compiled data of the different planets and whatnot that they had intended to research at the time. Some of them they had already done so and mines lots of information from it. And so it is information from at the time what they had discovered about these various planets
tell
and
me how
stars and
old
systems. Huh?
It is? Does that tell me how old it is?
It does. You know what? Why don't you roll me a lore intelligence check?
Could I assist with that?
Yes.
I will. I guess I probably would show you. Sure.
I mean, it's not like I'm very lore like it, but it feels just like a thing he would know about, you know.
That is
I already gave myself a +1 for these.
yeah.
That might be for the best.
Yeah. That is. You realize that it's 3,000 years. So when you are looking at all this information, you're getting all this information from 3,000 years ago. You also see there was all the planets, like I said, that they had already investigated and found out different information from. But you also found a whole list of things that they found as curiosities, things that they intended to explore moving forward. You're going to find so much more information by mining through the files in the future, but it's kind of hard to pinpoint all this stuff now without spending more time doing so. The short version is, it seems like this vessel was designed to originally, like where all of its missions were intended, were nearby. Now, when I say nearby, I mean that very loosely. Nearby galactically, so you're not going to be going all the way galactically north or all the way galactically west. It's going to be head to like the southeast region, maybe as far as the east region of the galaxy. That's where, as the Solarians are starting to push out exploring. Just as a reminder, the home world, the home system of the Solarians is actually not far from the home system of the humans. If I remember correctly, one of them passes through the other, even to getting to the system you're in right now, right? So it's actually, they're very nearby one another. And so it makes sense that this is the first region that humans first explored, and forever ago, this is the first region that Solarians explored. Okay? But there were also many things that were missed. So you get all the information, you compile it together. Sid does come across the file, but once again, can't understand the information, so it kind of like throws it off to the side. Get the ship up and running. Everything seems to be fully fine and functioning. When did you all intend to leave?
Fast.
Yeah, ASAP. Why not?
Yep.
Awesome. So you eventually spoke to that lieutenant. You got them to agree. They more or less came here undercover. It's one of those like nobody's like watching every individual person, but you don't want to leave a trail behind you anyways. So you snuck the lieutenant out to get them here without notice. Do me a favor for that, please, Carmine. You're gonna have to roll me a sneak or a. Let me open up a character sheet. There we go. A sneak check or a survive check to get out there without being noticed.
Definitely sneaking.
Okay.
Oh God.
So the two of you are trying to get there as sneakily as possible, and hopefully you didn't leave behind a trail. Nothing that people can kind of like pick up and notice what had happened, right? So you finally get to the vessel. The four of you are there with the four NPCs. The one NPC, the Lieutenant Brown, he immediately goes over to the cryo area once you kind of get everything up and running. It's like one of those, why don't we get the cryo phase underway before we take off? That way we're not kind of like double drawing power just in case. Goes into the cryo bag. I just need Carmine to make me... Actually, Carmine, what's your skill level in first aid?
It's a 1.
Oh, okay, so you do have to roll me a check. If it was a 2, you wouldn't have to roll.
God damn it.
Cryostasis is pretty complicated.
I mean, fair enough.
You're fine.
Not that complicated.
I've never seen it be complicated, like in like a movie, like or TV show.
Well,
I've
that's
been like,
because-
you push the button and it's good to go.
That's because, but you know, if you think about it, it don't make no dang sense. It's not like Futurama where you're just gonna stumble into 3,000 years in the future or whatever.
So,
I mean, I'll take like the check because it's like 3,000-year-old Solarian tech. It's probably
Yeah.
not the most up to date.
Mm.
Like I can get it. I get it.
so
He's using all those antiquated button symbols that don't make sense now, like the phone symbol on calls. Like, what is that?
That's a man sticking a finger up another's butt.
What?
so
I don't know. It's alien. That's the whole point of it.
Oh. Okay.
I'm not sure if Frank's confused or intrigued, but he's looking around.
Look, Solarians. It's basically canon that Solarians were the ones probing humans.
I know. It's the best part. Like I said, their system is immediately adjacent to Earth's, and it's actually, if you go to the Mass Effect wiki, it even specifically talks about at least one instance of Solarians coming to Earth in Earth's past. At least one instance. Though there were several times that others came to Earth as well. Pretty sure the Asari were around during like the Egyptian era or something like that. But anyways, moving on. So you guys are... you take off, and so you get them locked into cryo. What about the leader of the rebels? Do we try to convince him to go in cryo as well, or no?
Yes.
Okay, who's going to approach
That's
that?
awkward questions.
Whoever has any point in social, because I do not.
He's your friend.
I'm just
mean,
gonna
I'm
tell him
friends
to do
putting it mild. I just told him like, hey, I can get you off the
I'm just
planet.
gonna tell him to do it.
Okay, so you want to command him?
Yeah,
Okay. Commands charisma.
absolutely. I'm just gonna tell him to do it.
Well then.
This is
Okay.
why I delegate.
Ollie, why don't you deliver me the 102 liner of you giving that command?
You're going in cryostasis. He says something else.
Yeah.
You're going into cryostasis.
But I don't... Why would I have to...
You are going into cryostasis.
This seems like
For
there's
your
gonna be...
best interests, you are going into cryostasis.
Kind of like look around the room, and everybody around the room is kind of like...
Yeah, I'm just like sitting there, just upset that he's here.
Sid didn't want him. I don't think anyone wanted him.
All right,
Except for
yep.
Carmine.
I already saw the lieutenant go in there, right? So, might as well, you know. And we'll go over and you already rolled well on the cryo check, so I'm not going to make you roll it again there for this one scene there, Rick. So you get him to... All right. How about your friends there, Rick? He is a capable person on a vessel and has value. However, he is very injured still, and while he's able to be kept alive because of the doctor's work and your kit and whatnot back on the planet, it's not quite the same level of technology as even this ship has, let alone
I would
the
probably
Citadel.
keep him in the med bay.
Keep him in the med bay?
Yeah, I'll try to keep an eye on him that way.
Hey, you're gonna keep me locked up? What if I gotta come around and go for a stretch, take a piss or something?
I don't even know what you said.
I point out that this ship doesn't have toilets. Nowhere on the picture is there a bathroom. So
It is my
he's gonna
fan
be
fiction
holding
that
it
those
in
are
for a long
included in the
time.
crew quarters.
That is a thing. But are there closed doors? Don't worry about it. Solarians are open people.
Beams.
Solarians are open people. So they just wear wetsuits and just go in their suits. You know what I mean? Like do Solarians have the same kind of restrooms that a human would? You know what I'm saying?
Probably not, right?
Yeah. So I mean, maybe that's why there's no bathrooms there. You have to install them. All right. I think that finishes everything. So you guys get everything up and running, and you're finally able to take the fluff off. So let me see if I can make this look good.
You could just
No, it
turn-
is so old and crappy you cannot make it look good.
Sounds like Scott.
So you guys are here over in my cop. So the first thing you're going to do is when you finally get the ship, everybody's on the ship and whatnot, you get everything up and running. Sid, you don't need a piloting check because you're piloting what, 1 or 2?
2.
Okay. You definitely don't need to do any form of check just to get yourself taken off. So the ship had crash landed before you, done all your repairs, you made sure everything was fine. Finally, you get the ship to take off. Now, this isn't one of those ships that require forward propulsion to actually get air. It can vertical takeoff, and so it does so. It's vibrating a bit heavily at first, but then once you actually get up off of the ground, the vibration is almost all complete. You know what I mean? It was one of those things where it was just because of how it was landed, though it made everybody a little bit nervous because it was like, this isn't good. But then once you get off, the vibrations are almost all complete. A quick check makes you realize the only reason why it's even vibrating at this point is because the atmospheric configuration needs a little bit of calibrating to happen. But that's fine. Don't worry about that now. And you can take the ship up into the skies and then take off. Hopefully into the direction where you think less people will notice what it is that's happening. But there's not exactly a stealth mode, so maybe somebody does.
I would definitely suggest flying to like a distance away before actually going whoosh and going away.
So
Get away from all like humans.
Yep, try to stay as low to the ground as possible before finally you do the... Because when it gains speed and it takes off, it does so pretty quickly. It's one of those, and you've seen it a million times in movies and whatnot, where all of a sudden it just goes... And it just skits off into the sky. Solarian vessels are very, very efficient. So it does jump immediately, almost... It's very quickly. You're just ripping through the sky, ripping through the blue skies and everything above, taking off into the upper atmosphere. Finally, stars open up before you, and then finally you can just see all around you. You're just completely surrounded by darkness, with little twinkles of stars, and the planet behind you is getting smaller and smaller and smaller. I mean, for you, Sid, this is only the second time ever you've done that experience where in your an age that you would really remember it, where you can literally watch the stars open up before you and the planet shrink behind you. I imagine it's kind of an emotional moment. I don't know about you, but real life, when I take off in planes, and it's been a long time, it's a little emotional for me. Like the planet's getting small beneath me. But
I do it
window
all the
seat.
time, and it does not bother me at all. Never,
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever had an emotional moment flying.
I
That
think
doesn't surprise me.
just on like the rear view screen, looking at the planet, it just looks at it longingly and just says, "So long, shithole."
yeah, there you go. So as it
Agreed.
opens up before you, it does open up to the system that you, of course, spent your entire life of an age that you can remember things living within. So, as a reminder, My Cop is the name of the star, and there are 4 planets that exist around it. The third planet being Tyerma, the one that you actually just took off from, well, you finally moved away from. The other planets are Degra Devoret, Plavit, and Brarix. So, I don't think... Did you have any interest in checking out any of these planets whatsoever? Or do you just want to get the hell out of this system and leave for good?
Get the hell out of here.
Awesome.
Book it.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. So, as a reminder for the actual ships, and just looking for the travel. Here we go. Intrasystem and Mass Effect jump. So, as you're looking to leave the actual system, I threw to you guys the map that you're sitting on, so you can see how far it is that you are from any of the other systems around. The one you had checked out very quickly beforehand, Sid, was Asgard, as opposed to Utopia. Asgard is actually a really good system. It has some awesome planets in it. One of the big ones being Terra Nova. You actually did not check out Terra Nova while you were there last time. You did not land at a human area. Terra Nova is literally like 4% of all of 4% of certain types of metals. So like when it comes to like palladium and stuff like that, comes out of not Terra Nova, my apologies, comes out of Tyr, which is one of the other planets in the system of Asgard. So like it is a system that's actually very bustling with many different species, but primarily humans, because humans laid claim to it first, right, and discovered the value of Tyr, the other planet. Did you want to head over to that place, to the Asgard system, or over to Utopia? Utopia, the big unique feature there is it has the mass relay. However, you have never flown through a mass relay before, aside from in training nodules.
I think Ali has a question.
Isn't the literal plan to take the fastest, quickest route to the Citadel?
Well, that's...
So all of this is irrelevant.
It is not
I mean,
irrelevant
but we're
at
not
all.
the pilot.
Yeah, well, but do we have the other map? Is that a handout we have? Because I don't know the world map off the top of my head. Whichever way is closest to the Citadel, like, would be the route, right?
That's what I was about to say.
I would actually, Icarus would be interested in decoding that information and seeing if there's anything on the research vessel's database about anywhere nearby. But that's after this.
Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
a later.
So one of the fun things that you're going to be able to discover as you're taking off and flying around, and as you're discussing, let's go through the Citadel again. Sid. Oh, I just realized that this screen's a little screwy. There we go. As you guys are flying around, discussing flying through to the Citadel itself, Sid has no fucking clue where that is. So you try to pull up a galactic map, and you guys have a much more recent one, because this vessel comes from before the Solarians found the Citadel themselves. So they don't even have a galactic map of the Citadel on this vessel. But that's
You
okay.
have to upload it from our Omni tool.
You guys would, well,
Yeah.
not Icarus, but certainly Constantinia or Carmine would have a much more recent map and would be able to upload it in like you just suggested and show it there. Once Sid, once you see that map gets uploaded and where it is that they're hoping to go, you kind of come to a realization. That's kind of far away. Like, the engine of your ship is not strong enough to get all the way to the Serpentine Nebula.
Don't have that issue again.
It is not strong enough to get all the way over there. That is a long ass haul. Even if you went from the Exodus cluster to try to go to Anos Basin, which is where it is that Solarians originally came from, it's literally the next system over, heading galactically northwest. Even that is, you believe, outside of the strength of this engine with where it stands. Now, if I remember correctly, you are flying a 1 for your vessel, Frank?
Oh, what?
Your relay is where is it?
Oh, the jump
Your
drive.
ESO drive is it's a
Yeah.
1. Yep. But I believe you also don't you have an ability that allows you to effectively increase that to a 2 at all points in time?
I don't think so. I have the ability to make all checks 10 or less automatically pass.
Gotcha. And you can treat it as 1 higher by increasing the difficulty, which can treat it as a 2. When doing mass relay jumps, just as a reminder, where is it? When using mass relay jumps, each hex takes only 6 hours. Give me 1 second. There's limitations. A ship can only travel as far as before needing rest. Limiting. Yeah, so it's one of those things where because your ESO drive is effectively a 2, you actually can't even travel as far as Anos Basin, which is 4 hexes away. You would have to increase the power to your drive, the quality of your drive, so many other factors to be able to get as far as Anos Basin. The furthest you can get is the Arcticus Stream, the Petra Nebula, which is actually that's even 3 hexes away, and so on.
Well, Sid doesn't know any of these systems, so
it's just one of those
all
things where you
going to
see bips on
go.
the map. Yep.
Yeah. Hey guys, I don't think we have enough power to get to your Citadel.
Great.
You can go somewhere else, huh?
Would I know anything about the Arcturus Stream or the Horsehead Nebula in my maybe well-traveled life now?
Nothing that stands out for major significance. I mean, if you're it's one of those things where every system has people that live there. Every system has its ups and downs. You know that the Horsehead Nebula, just like the Exodus Cluster, which is where you are, is one of those kind of fun contested areas where the Batarians are an obnoxious. It's the Attican Traverse, is what it's called. It's where the Batarians are a pain in the ass and cause lots of issues, but it's not just Batarians. There are other forms of piracy and whatnot that exist there as well. However, the Arcticus Stream is considered the council space, and so therefore is usually heavily protected. It's a safer area to travel through. Doesn't mean people are necessarily going to be nice to you, but it does mean piracy and stuff like that is far less likely. Yeah.
So what is the furthest we can travel on the ship?
If
we can go to
the galactic map, you can head to Arcticus Stream and Horsehead Nebula. With some effort, you can get to the Petra Nebula as well.
I get that, but after that, how many hexes can we travel total?
We can travel 3.
3?
And that's
3 would be pushing it.
That's
3
dangerous.
is pushing it?
That's unlucky.
Gotcha.
I am going, Scott, to ask you a question.
Sure.
And commit one processing.
Okay.
And you shall give me the correct answer to this question.
Sure.
As I use query data. Is there a major alliance base in Horsehead Nebula or Arcturus Stream? And if so, where is it?
Give me 2 seconds. You're talking about specifically Alliance military, because there's there's a huge fucking Alliance presence in this system.
Basically, I'm looking for the nearest big Alliance base.
Yeah,
doesn't really matter if it's military or if it's not, but as long as it's somewhere where Icarus figures we could get these people what they need.
So I'm going to expand your question and say it doesn't matter what's in those other systems, which you have to jump through a mass relay to get to. Before you even jump through a relay, the Asgard system has Terra Nova, which is a major Alliance area. I mean, their population there is 4.4 million.
But does it have an Alliance space station or something?
Oh, absolutely.
Somewhere we could land.
Absolutely, yes. And then again, another planet in that system has tons of different races of mining one planet. So there's a huge corporation presence here as well.
So if we can't get the government, we'll get a corporation. All right, then that would be what the Iclis would just put Terra Nova as our destination. That is where we can find the Alliance. That is where we can let the people know of what is happening down on Tyoma.
Well, good enough for me. Yeah, we can drop the loose baggage.
Best shot given the...
And help humans.
He pauses for a moment. He doesn't want to insult the ship that he's now on. Situation that we now have.
How close is this destination?
Close enough.
The nearby
It should
system.
be
My
inter-system travel, so...
question is, if it is that close, why are they only hearing about the problems on this planet now?
Have you ever tried to scan every planet in a galaxy?
No, have you?
Yes.
How difficult is it?
It is improbable.
Well, hopefully the reason why is just that they're unfamiliar with this planet and not that they don't care.
There is nothing happening on Tiama that would trigger any interesting scans. There is no technology. There is no mainframes. It
There's
is
no
nothing.
interesting flora or fauna.
It does not show up as a point of interest.
The
But
Batarians found it.
The Batarians look for slaves.
Okay.
Let me tell you from experience. Timer, not interesting.
You don't know the half of it.
Completely agreed.
All right.
And if the humans don't care about their fellow humans, then we have done our part.
Okay. So you can, assuming increasing your EZO drive to be effectively a 2, you can actually make a jump, and over the course of 50 hours, you can travel 6 of the 9 hexes. So more or less the way it goes is you're going to plot your course in such a way that for the next about 50 hours, you're going to enter into, the Mass Effect jump, launching yourself way faster than light. It's like over 40 hours so that you're doing it. Traveling to a nearby star that's between here and your destination. You go over there, you do your space fart, like we talked about a bunch of times beforehand. We just kind of release out the engines. You allow things to come back online, and then you can do another small jump to get your way, finish your way getting over there. So the whole idea is that you'll be able to get from My Cop to Asgard over the course of about 72 hours. So about, what's that? 3 days? 4 days. About 4 days to get there.
3.
3 days, thank you. 3 days.
Exactly 3 days.
Yep, there you go. So that's how long it'll take for you to get there. Awesome. So you guys get your ship up and running, and you do your fun little Mass Effect jump. Boom. And go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Right, let me just make sure you travel actually 6. Right there. Cool. You actually travel 6. Now, during those first 72 hours that you guys are traveling... Oh, sorry. Can't just assume success. Frank, the DC for this check is 7. Plus 1 for the number of full hexes traveled. Nope, that's not the correct one. It's actually Mass Effect jump. So it's 7 per 5 full hexes traveled. So that becomes 8, and you determine the course becomes 10. So actually, yeah. And then you have the chart is less than a year old. So it's exactly a 10. So that first one you can auto succeed. You don't have to roll.
Starfarer.
There you go. And then so the second one's actually going to be even easier for you. And so you can auto succeed both checks.
Starfarer.
Beautiful. During those first 72 hours, you guys are kind of getting familiar with the ship and whatnot. Is there anything you all wanted to do? Is there anything you wanted to kind of get familiar with on the vessel that I can that you had already had in mind for your characters?
I'd be either calibrating the guns or checking out the med bay.
Sure. So why don't we have you calibrate the guns first? Sorry, you already did the guns check. We already allowed you to roll that and do the best you possibly could with it. You can relay that information to Sid and to what the hell's his name?
Dylan.
Dylan, thank you. God damn it. So bad with names. So to Sid and to Dylan, and so you let them know about the various parts and whatnot that they're going to need to be able to handle that.
That we need to prioritize power to the guns as soon as we find something bad.
And of course you're familiar with that, Sid, because you had to do it once before. Why don't you roll me a first aid intelligence check as you're kind of checking out the med bay area.
Okay. Intelligence, you said?
Correct.
Cool.
So, traveling through the medical facility, you can see that while this technology is old as shit by modern standards, it actually has all the baseline stuff. Like, it's better than what they had on TIE armor by far.
That's not hard, but
yeah. The Solarians were always medically very advanced. And so because they have the foundations of what you need to be able to run a good facility, you're thinking it won't take much by way of credits or supplies to get this thing to be effectively as good as being on a Standard Alliance vessel would provide. So you're kind of like, taking notes down of what it is that you might need. And you're like, it's actually going to be pretty cheap to get this beefed up, right? So good news there. Icarus, what would you be doing on the vessel?
Mostly going through that information stuff. Also working on the sensors. So on the little map, there was like a survey room that would have no real other purpose to these guys. That would basically be where Icarus is set up and is going over data and stuff. Although I will point out, at least once, Carmine will wake up to Icarus standing over him. Like, right beside him, his bed.
Okay. Why don't we cut to that scene?
Yeah.
Icarus, you could just knock.
Do we have separate rooms? Or do you have separate rooms? Do you meet bags on this ship?
They do not. So it's kind of funny. There is a... you see, if you actually look at the crew's quarters, how there is that little room that's in the center of all of them. The whole idea is that originally that would have been the captain's...
oh, yeah!
Yeah. That would have been like the captain's quarters and everybody else is around it. How you guys choose to discuss that's amongst y'all. But
who gets the big room?
Dibs.
Who gets privacy?
Dibs.
I guess it is kind of Sid's ship, so I guess they're allowed dibs.
The cool thing about the room is while it does have the walls around it to make it a bit more private, it does get its own bed, so on and so forth, still no restroom. One of the things it does have is it has a whole wall of terminals. So you can always see what's actively going on with the ship as though you were sitting up at the cockpit. You can't interact with it, but you can see everything that that you'd be able to have data fed to you if you were sitting at the cockpit itself. So you can kind of like keep an eye on what's going on. And of course it has its own, like, because there's an intercom system that will go with, throughout the ship, has its own link. But anyways, you could just knock.
Why would I knock?
So that I don't get freaked out by the robot that's standing over me as I wake up from slumber?
Oh, I mean you no harm. And Icarus will just turn around and walk away.
Carmine just scratches his head and rolls over.
Blanket.
He's seen weird things, but this is quite up there.
For you...
But other than that, I'm in that sensor room.
Of course. So the cool thing about that sensor room, that actually is something of significance, like what those sensors do, actually allow you to get really comprehensive reports of, like, if you fly by a ship or if you're going over a planet or anything like that. It actually gives you very comprehensive reports of like surface areas and what's going on there. Again, this is a research vessel. You know what I mean?
Is this gonna be a Elite Dangerous thing where potentially it is sellable information?
Potentially.
Icarus will actually try and get it all running in such a way that we can get the highest quality stuff on it. Then, yeah.
Absolutely.
Instead of going over the already information, going to get this machine work so we can get better information.
So we're gonna fuck off into space for like 10 years and just gather data for Explorer rank.
Yeah.
Dear.
Yeah. Works in Star Trek.
So Icarus more or less spends that early time, except that one time you're staring over Carbine, gets that whole sensor area completely up and running efficiently. Any bugs that may have been in the system have been filtered out. That's software has been cleaned up very smoothly. The hardware aspect of it, there's a few things where, like, I would totally remove out the circuitry, upgrade this to over here, kind of like pulling from your data of what you know that exists in the galaxy today. But everything's functioning fine, okay? As a matter of fact, it's functioning very well, and you think that maybe this is probably one of the better areas for you to place your own processing unit for several reasons.
That's what I kind of did.
Perfect. Reasons being, one, it's a less trafficked area, so the likelihood of somebody fucking with it is is much lower. But also, too, because the sensor array is designed to send out and receive signals fairly consistently from, like, an extraplanetary area, if you were to be on a planet and this ship were just to be orbiting it, you believe you'd be able to keep an uplink to your processor, which is nice. So, all right, moving on. Constantinia, what would you be doing during this period of time, kind of getting familiar with the ship?
There isn't one like particular area I would be exploring more than others. Rather, I would just be getting acquainted with like the whole of the ship.
Mm-hmm.
Like I want to know the exact like number of steps it takes to get from the escape pod to the cargo bay. I would be inspecting all like the little nooks and crannies, any vents I can get into, like in the walls and whatnot. I would be exploring anywhere I can hide, and like plan an ambush.
Awesome.
So.
All very useful information. I can say specifically about the vents aspect. All the vents here are too small for any of you to even hope to get through, which while is a downside for what you're hoping for, you could do is an upside for a defensive standpoint.
Sure.
Yep, okay, so you're counting steps, getting super familiar with it, learning like how it is that you can more easily get from one location to the other. Maybe even thinking of ways like you can enhance it, like, oh, if only I could like reorganize, like chop a hole in this wall right here.
I might be doing that, yeah, if I absolutely think like, oh wow, it would really help if I like had like a little like cranny here.
Yeah.
Just got a hole in the wall.
So one of the areas
I wouldn't ask to
Of
do that
course.
before either, I would just do it.
Of course. So one of the areas that you know are terribly, obnoxiously inefficient, if you are looking at your little map, immediately behind where the cockpit is, there's the workshop, the workstation. Well, that workstation is actually like to go from the workstation to the actual ESO drive core area, the one that's adjacent to it. You actually have to go all the way out and around and through the cockpit area, which is like, this seems so inefficient. But it is described to you by Dylan very, very timidly. Well, that's... The doors on this side of the ESO drive core are like a specific type of door that's designed that in case the core blows, it stops all the backlash from coming into the ship. And that one over there is designed to allow it all to be vented out into space. So by putting a hole in the wall, it would allow a leak to fill the rest of the ship.
But if the drive core explodes, aren't we all dead anyway?
Yeah.
Okay then.
Unless we can vent it in time. That's all controlled by this area over here and brings you into like where the ship's mainframe engineering area is, which has its own blast door next to it. And it's like, that's over here. Usually if this room's occupied, somebody can be quick enough to stop that from happening.
Can the ship fly without a drive core?
We have two of them.
Depending on where you are, it could not crash without a drive core. And Rick, that there's only one drive core. It's just kind of like how it's split, and you know what I mean. So, how it is that it like actually thrusts its power and blah 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 blah. And so,
yeah, I agree with that. All right, that's fair.
Yay.
I still think it's inefficient, but sure.
And of course, I imagine she's thinking of like an armory or places like that, and different areas where she might be able to put stuff. Very limited cargo area. It's almost like, can we get a trunk installed? Maybe one of those pods.
I'm just thinking like
limited cargo area.
Could I
big
put
old
like
cargo bay?
Could I like break a hole in this wall, put a gun in there, patch it over really quick, and like just have that there for emergency?
A backup gun.
That's possible.
Little like statch holes like in places if I could.
It's like one of those drop ceilings where you just kind of like lift it, push to the side, and get stuff. Yeah, that's totally feasible.
All right, we'll do that then.
She's gonna be like on some sort of like in the workshop, grabbing up saws and stuff, just like cutting open the holes in the roof. You know, one of those like Carmine walks out and is like,
Trust me.
All right. So, anyways, why don't we take our first break, and when we come back, we will finish up your landing into this area. See you all in just a few minutes. Hello, everybody, and welcome back. During the break, I was just kind of like, it's been so long since I've like had to actually run a ship. I had to read some of the things and remind myself of all the little finite details of every fitting. You know what I mean? It's like one of those things where, hey, Ollie, a robe of useful items. What does a left pocket give you?
I'm not gonna know. I've never run that.
There you
I
go.
don't run.
Well, you're not making it any easier on yourself by
use
basically using a
magic
hodgepodge
items from
combination
the
of
book.
2 ship classes.
Well,
It's a cool ship, though. I'm really glad. I also like is a little bit of behind the scenes. This is basically Scott saw a cool picture of a ship and was like, "That's the ship."
Yep.
Yeah.
It's
basically got more shit than any ship has any right to have, but it's just there.
Well, there's enough space to do it.
Yeah.
Like it did follow the rules, but it's funny. Like you said, I took a cool picture. Like I was like, I like that picture. It's fucking awesome, but it's not good enough. And so I use this really shitty Photoshoppy kind of program that you always yell at me for using. I kind of hodgepodged it together. For the patrons, you can actually get like the PDF of the vessel, and then there's a view original image because I always got to give credit to the artists that do all of the work, right? View original image link on there too, so you can see the.
Actually, I'm curious because I don't think I've seen the original.
I'll send it to you later on if you don't have it. All right. So, anyways, moving on. So the what were we just talking about? All right, Sid. During that 72-hour period, what were you doing, sir?
Adam.
Piloting. Also badgering Icarus to teach them Solarian and everything that they need to know about programming the ship and stuff, because that's useful information.
Icarus, there's 2 ways you can handle the situation. 1, put on your teacher's cap and start teaching them Solarian. Or 2, work to recode the entire ship to be inhuman.
That is an idea. I was suggest to Sid, like, there is another option. We simply need to create a system where I can uplink to the ship. I can translate everything for you, as well as give far more readouts than the current virtual intelligence can.
Oh, you can do that?
I can do many things. But so far, the hardware on this ship would not support me uploading.
Well, then which is better? Because both are fine. I need to learn Solarian anyways, right?
Yes. But I would have far more potential if I could upload to the ship.
Whichever one you're most comfortable with, middleman.
I will prepare a dossier of translation for Solarian, and then a plan of action to retrofit the ship.
And so just like pats him on what they assume is the shoulder. It's like, hey, thanks.
Makes a
And then, like,
It falls over. Turns out they took that 1 point of lethal damage.
And then, like, the next day, there'll be like like probably something he already has, like English or human, human to Solarian
For
like,
dummies.
PDF, yeah. So it's like most terms, especially for coding. But then that's something I was thinking we work on next travel, Scott, because I'm kind of working on the scanner room now, is me being able to upload to the ship.
Yeah, of course.
And we discussed that before, that basically the hardware doesn't exist. So that's like next time with downtiming, I guess.
Of course.
Probably going to take some months.
And we'll take some money and whatnot. But as just like a really quick response to that question, very quickly during like as this became an option, you discussed it back and forth with Sid or Dylan, or probably even came to a conclusion yourself. The ship mainframe engineering room, which is the opposite side of the ship, it's the other end. That's going to be where the uplink actually takes place. So
Yes.
just got to keep that in mind. All right, but anyways.
Oh, so I'm gonna have to actually plug myself in.
Yeah, you will actually physically plug yourself into the vessel to upload everything into it. Because of course, you're just a VI. You have to be able to transfer your data into it. Maybe in the future you can do a wireless uplink too. You know what I mean? Yeah. So that you could be one of those.
Add more plugs. Get an extender.
Yeah, right.
It'd be nice to have one in the cockpit.
Yeah, or like a signal repeater or something like that. So once again, while you're anywhere on the planet, you can go goodbye and like power out of your body, like,
and then power the ship, and the Gatling guns spin up on the bottom, and
you get a warning for not enough power, and everything goes to hell.
That'd be kind of a funny scene if Icarus is like trapped somewhere with the party, and all of a sudden he's just kind of like, and the ship's like, it comes to the rescue. You know what I mean? Icarus omnipresent. But anyways, moving on. So you're doing that. Thank you, Frank. And similar to what we were discussing beforehand, a lot of the other systems that kind of need like little bugs or upgrades, Dylan is going to be the one that's supposed to be in charge of it. However, he does nothing super helpful, actually does some bits of hindrance here and there, because it's one of those like, I understand like mechanics and stuff, like I'm really smart, but like I don't know how to work with this quality of machinery. You know what I mean? This is like too advanced for me. Which is funny because you guys are all like, wow, this is kind of old and shitty. All right, so you fly. You stop at some point in time. You're sitting in a star. This is, I won't lie, a little frightening for you, Sid, when this happens. Because when you have to stop the ship because you can't fly anywhere, you literally have to land into a random system. A random in the middle of nowhere system, and just pull up to a random galactic body, which would be like maybe a star, usually a planet or a moon, and you have to exhaust your systems into that galactic body, which is what we keep joking is space farting. While you're doing this, you have no big means of escape. You actually have to shut down your ship for a solid half hour to allow the exhausting to happen, and then slowly boot things back online, which is again like, ooh, like I'm a sitting duck. During this period of time, it's always good to have the entire crew on high alert and not to treat it like it's a routine thing. Why don't you do me a favor, Icarus? Roll me your first sensor check with the ship. Sensors is decryption, intelligence, and then because of your equipment, it's a.
I was gonna ask what I had to roll.
Nope, you're fine. Okay.
Well,
that is fucking insane. So while you guys are sitting there and allowing the ship to exhaust its fumes and doing all this stuff, Icarus decides to really see what it is he can find out from the sensor. And so, ding, starts scanning throughout the entire system. You pick up a whole bunch of information out there. Nothing that as you filter through it, you find to be particularly useful. Like one of the things is like the planet that you happen to stop over is a planet that has no terrestrial life that you can quickly pick up with the sensor. It does seem to have small deposits of materials that might be useful, but it would require some in-depth mining to acquire. So you would be able to find on this planet things like gold and platinum and silver and steel, iron, not just, it's just like mine steel. Like, hey, this is happens to be sitting here.
Hey, I mean, who knows? It is space.
It is space. Yeah, some smelting.
Actually, we might be able to mine steel in Mass Effect. It might be like an old civilization under the Earth. Who knows, right?
That's true. That is actually
sort of
true.
Makes sense.
Yeah. You just hope it hasn't like corroded or whatever, right? So anyways, so you are able to pick up things, but again, nothing of significance. It's just wonderful for you to sit there and because obviously as a piece of machinery, have awesome. My eyes are open. And eventually everything's fine. You take off and finish your way to get to the Asgard system. The Asgard system is a system that has 4 planets in it: Bor, Loki, Terra Nova, and Tyr. Okay, the first planet is where are you? The first planet is Terra Nova. Terra Nova is the one that has a human population to it. As a matter of fact, Terra Nova is the second extra Sol human colony that was created. Okay, it's the second one, and it is very, very rapidly growing. this is information that Carmine and Constantinia would have, but probably Icarus and Sid wouldn't. That there was recently a discovery of a significant amount of palladium, like very recently, in the past couple of years, that exists on this planet. And so there's a huge palladium rush that's happening here. And so there's a lot of different companies that exist here. The population is booming and booming and booming. So you're gonna like really see like tons of ships flying around that planet and in this area. That planet is a very, very comfortable planet, easy to support pretty much all Citadel life. There is a very uncomfortable band around the equator. Is a vast desert that runs around the entire equator. So most people would find that way too uncomfortable and not worth trying to survive in. However, Ollie, if you can make me a decryption intelligence check to scan the planet. What you're able to discern is that band, while it's horribly uncomfortable, at the hottest time, and it's hottest summers, it's not anywhere near as bad as the summers in in Tyerma. As a matter of fact, during its winter seasons, it's way more comfortable than Tyerma. This is actually a place where if Sid wanted to just, that's it, pull up shop, I can find a comfortable place to live, Sid would be happy here.
Lots of space.
Lots of space, yeah, because almost nobody builds there.
In space.
All right, the second planet in the system is Bohr. Bohr is a gas giant. It has lots of helium in it, which is, of course, important for mining. Third planet is going to be Tyr. Tyr is the one that we had already discussed several times. Lots of mining happening. And finally, the fourth planet is Loki. Loki as a planet is covered in ice and stuff. So it's a very, very frozen world. It is not something that could easily be lived on without being deep underground and da-da-da-da-da. I assume the planet you guys want to approach is Tyerma. No.
Terra Nova.
Terra Nova.
Yes.
Okay. Sorry. Okay. Finally off the other planet. Can't get it out of my brain. So
I never got it into my brain.
As you're approaching, it's probably a good thing. You don't have to have nightmares later on. As you're approaching Terra Nova, like I said, you can see there's the vast number of ships that are flying around this region. Sid, do me a favor. Roll me a piloting wisdom check. So one of the things that you're doing as you're flying around on your vessel is you approach the planet and whatnot. At first you realize you're like way out of sorts. You're not at all where you're supposed to be in line for the approach of the planet and whatnot. You eventually kind of pick this up by looking at the other ships and how it is they're moving around you, and you quickly adjust yourself to be more in line with this. Calling back to your memory of all the virtual reality pilot training that you had beforehand, that showed you how it is that Alliance typically handles things. This is evolved and different from that old data, but you're able to quickly adjust yourself so you aren't out of line. As a matter of fact, the only thing that seems strange about you is your ship, but everything else that you're doing is correct. As you're approaching the planet, you do get a call onto your vessel. So for the first time ever, you actually get like someone trying to speak to you on the ship itself. It's one of those like, where's the phone button? Oh, here, beep. So what do you say as you open comms? Mind you, the comms officer is technically Icarus. Icarus usually has the quickest response to that, unless he's off doing other things and Sid has taken over.
I guess considering we're on planet Fall, I guess I'd be with the rest of them.
Sure.
Yeah, I'd answer, but then I would look at Sid.
Okay.
This is Tyerma Vale. How can I help you?
Hello, Tyerma. We see that you're making a landing approach. Just want to see what it is that you're coming in here for.
Sid kind of just looks at everyone, kind of shrugs. Well, long story short, this is the first time here. We were marooned on a planet for about 50 years.
Carmen, stop her.
Now coming up for landing.
People need to know.
And hopefully getting a rescue mission to go actually save some people.
We are interested in communicating with the Alliance on this planet.
Yes, those people.
Send over your ship identification numbers and stand by. Beep.
Do we have those?
Beep.
I mean, I assume they'd be on this ship somewhere.
Yeah.
They'd just be really weird.
Yeah.
Icarus
Like-
can read, can identify where that stuff is and send it over to you, Sid, so you can have it and just transfer that data. A few minutes
It's
later.
got to be like a button, right?
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's you kind of figure out how it all works, and then you send it out. But again, the way that
First time
Solarians did things
troubles.
before and humans now, it's just kind of like making those connections.
While
So,
they're doing this, I would like to wake up the lieutenant.
Sure.
Mm.
Roll for me a medicine check for that one too.
And he dies.
He comes out of cryo with seemingly no ill side effects beyond the normal ones. Okay, it's going to take him a little bit to defrost, just like this landfall takes a little bit to defrost. It takes a little bit to happen too. A few minutes later, comes back online, and you hear a different voice. I hear that this is in regards to a rescue mission. Is this to assist with the Solarian government?
No, we're human. For the most part.
The trapped individuals are humans, remnants of an old pre-Alliance fleet.
You hear like the voice gets like close to like the microphone. Is like, are these Solarian scum capturing humans and holding them prisoner?
Batarians.
I'm a bit confused right now. You're flying a Solarian vessel, aren't you? That
The
code
ship
that you
had
sent is a
Solarian
little-
technology. The planet had Solarian technology on it. This was the only escape.
We can
All of your
explain once we get a
questions can-
face-to-face meeting.
There's a lot of voices up there. It's making things a little bit confusing. We're going to take you in, and of course, we're going to have this conversation. We're just going to send a nice little escort to bring you over to the correct area. Just please stand by and fly in wing with them.
Roger that.
Received.
Okay. Beep.
And then, like, he mutes, and then Icarus turns around to everyone's like, next time, I am the one who talks.
I am
You are
completely
complicating
fine with that.
things.
Look, no one told me not to tell them the truth. And why wouldn't we tell the truth?
I agree with telling the truth. I don't agree with how humans babble.
So,
Babble? You know.
I kind of like nod along to that. Like, yeah.
two ships come up, one on either side. You can actually almost immediately tell that the two ships that came up, this is pretty easily identifiable for, you don't even have to roll. These ships are clearly designed to be planetary defense forces that also have the means to fly in space if need be, but are not meant to actually travel in space, just to go out there, finish planetary defense, and then come back in, sort of thing.
Basically, space fighters.
Exactly. So anyways, it's one of those things where they're designed for atmosphere, but have atmospheric configurers to go outside of space temporarily. So, in space temporarily. So they come up and they land you guys to a docking area. When you guys are met, what it is those fighters land. They stay in their ships. As you guys are getting out of your ship, they take off and fly away again to obviously go do works elsewhere. The person that's going to meet you is actually going to be a woman who's dressed in full Alliance garb. Clearly, it's not armor or anything like that. She has a uniform to her. She comes walking up to you. Doesn't have any guards around her or anything like that. And your vessel opens up, opening the bay before, and she's just kind of like looking around at the ship itself as you guys are starting to come down. I imagine all four of you come down, but in what order?
The piece
I
just
would-
falls off the ship.
I would probably take the lead, given that I am ex-Alliance and generally well aware of their customs.
Mhm.
And I would give her a quick salute as we...
I'd be beside him, slightly beside, like, bodyguard position.
Sure. The other two?
I would wait.
Yeah, I think Sid is staying in the cockpit right now.
So like, I gesture
Just-
for Sid. She doesn't go. I go. Instead. All right. Fine.
It's like getting up the nerves to actually leave the ship.
Okay. If Sid's staying, Dylan's staying. What about your friends there, Rick?
Get him off the ship.
I imagine I would bring the lieutenant with me.
No, not the lieutenant.
Oh,
Your injured friend.
I'd let him stay in the med bay for now, so that we can actually understand
No.
everyone who's talking.
Oh god, Sid runs off the ship.
Okay, there you go.
He comes in the cockpit like, oh, what are you doing here? Are we gonna have another order to go fry down?
Can I start shooting some things?
Damn humans, you know what I'm saying? I like me a Solarian a little bit less slippery.
That's too easy to do. Now I know why Scott does it. It's like actually
it's super
an
easy.
accent he can do.
It's like one of the easiest ones. All right. So, anyways, as you guys are walking off, like I said, Carmine, she's kind of like looking around at the ship itself. So as you come walking down and you give her the salute, she notices it and turns her head and gives you a smile, and says, "Former Alliance."
Indeed.
She kind of like looks you over. Do you have like visible any of the repairs that you've had done to you, or is everything completely covered?
Covered.
Okay, gotcha. Mercenary?
Yep.
Looks over at the others coming down, which is Icarus and Sid and the lieutenant, and sees the lieutenant, and he's not in very good shape. And she looks to him and says, "Alliance as well?" And I was waiting for a response. It's funny. And he's like, yes, and only former due to being missing in action. I should still be on active duty depending on the year. She's like, I understand you're a part of the ones that need to be rescued. He's like, apparently they took me in to verify their story, but honestly, I could just use a warm bed. I was in cryo for this trip. She's like, I understand. We'll get you to somewhere comfortable soon enough. All of you will, of course, be swung through the medical area to make sure that everybody is in tip-top shape. We don't want to take any chances of, either you being in harm's way or bringing harm to the colony. If you'll please follow me. And she'll turn and start walking, and of course you hear the, like her boots as she's walking. And she'll actually turn to Carmine, who I imagine is the one that's the closest next to her. And she says as she's walking along, "That's a very unique vessel. It does seem to be of Solarian craft, but I've never seen its type before."
Correct. Data we found on board indicates that she's a couple of thousand years old by now.
A couple thousand years old? Oh man. I mean that puts us compare that to human history. That's remarkable. I mean, that ship would be older than before people believed in most faiths.
She probably outdates the pyramids.
Kind of like stops for a second to turn back and look at it, like as you phrase it like that, and kind of like gives you like a whole new like perspective. She should regard it for a few moments, and then she tosses one more glance amongst everybody else that came along, and sits there, didn't even like acknowledge Sid with a smile, but didn't speak to Sid at all.
Sid is not there.
Sid came. No, Constantinia
is what you
Oh,
mean.
I'm so sorry. It's at this point in time that she would turn back and she would say, "What's your stake in this?"
I am assisting. I was hired to do so.
Same mercenary organization as, and she turns back to, she gestures to James.
I'm Tory
work
military.
together.
Currently on leave. Assisting humans as humanitarian work, I think you'd put it.
I completely understand, and thank you. Turns and then continues to lead you in. The small talk she makes with you, Carmine, is very small. It's just one of those, like, clearly trying to be polite so it's not so awkward, but there are gaps of silence in between. Do you try to, like, procure any information from her or take advantage of the situation, or just travel?
I'd probably inquire as to the state of the Alliance currently. Maybe inquire after some members that I like, some people that I knew by name, some top brass, like, oh, I heard he got promoted, or I heard he went with an honorable discharge.
Sure.
Basically.
Yeah. Some of the names that you mentioned, she has no clue who they are because the Alliance is just so vast. Other names would actually stand out. Are there any in particular names that you want to ask about?
None that I can really think of right now, except for maybe the captain of our old ship.
Oh, he's actually doing fairly well at the moment. He is a rear admiral.
Oh.
Yeah.
Look at that.
It's been many a year, so he is a rear admiral. He's doing pretty well for himself.
Cool.
Yeah, that's your childhood friend. And so you continue traveling in. She brings you to the medical area where all of you are examined and sterilized and so on and so forth. You don't have to like remove your clothes for sterilization. You actually go into this one area where you just stand there, and it's about a 5-minute process where they kind of like douse you with this like mist, and then the mist is then, you know, because of the lights that they use on it, the mist is then dried up off of you and whatnot. It's designed to, of course, once again, get rid of all biological harms that could possibly happen, and then they give you a medical examination, which doesn't mean that they have to like put a depressor in your tongue. They just kind of put a scan throughout your body. The scan for your body, though, Carmine, when they come to you again, they do ask you specifically, you've had extensive work done. Actually, some of that stuff is more advanced than I've ever seen.
Yes. It's a long story.
Indeed it is. Well, apparently you're getting paid more as a merc than I am, than you were in the Alliance, huh? I'll have to look you up after I get out. You know, kind of jokingly, he's clearly a doctor.
Yeah.
He hasn't seen a fight in his life. And then with Constantinia, they're very polite to her, to the point of like obnoxiousness, where they're like, all right, we believe that with this solution that they're using for biological cleanliness is fine for your species. Would you like to go over all of the ingredients on here to make sure it's fine? Okay.
Yes.
You know, it comes out fine. One of those. So we're going to be using a type of scanner to check over your body, but we understand you have different types of metals that exist inside of your body. We just want to make sure that there's not going to be a negative reaction based off of how it is we use this magnetic field to test everything that's in your body. Is this something that you've used before? And you're going to be, it's like, oh my God, it's so annoying. So, but they're...
I'm polite about it all the way through.
Good. So it's actually, for everybody else watching it...
An equal obnoxious degree. Like, yes, of course
dear.
I will check every single item on this list. Thank you so much for procuring it for me.
So I'm going to equate this to, like, you've seen it before, whether it be like in a TV show, movies, or just your neighbors, where you see like two people that clearly fucking hate each other, but they're like being overly nice every step of the way. You know, it's like watching that happen, even if there's no hatred, watching that happen is painful.
I'm from the Midwest. That's how we interact with one another.
So you guys go through the whole process. You're fine. Everything's fine. Eventually, you can sit down and have the meeting. The person that appeared on the microphone does come in to speak with you. When they do come in, they sit down with you. The same woman comes in with him as well. She sits down. She has clearly her data pad and everything there, acting as his sort of assistant. It's obvious that she is an officer, but definitely like an assistant to this higher-ranking officer. Nobody really needs to roll a lore check. You can tell that this person is an admiral. So, no, sorry, a rear admiral as well. So, like someone that's in charge of a pretty decent-sized facility. So, when you speak with him, he comes in, he walks in, and before he sits down, he walks around the room and will firmly shake everybody's hands and says, my name is Rear Admiral... Oh, Icolas. I was like... He does not shake Icolas's hand or introduce himself to Icolas.
I'd like to point out, while everyone else is getting medical checks, Icolas will try and ask someone if he can be cleaned. He is dirty.
That's actually part of the
He's a filthy boy.
the process.
The decontamination, right?
Yeah.
He'd be like, extra thorough.
And
he's gone from beige to white, you guys.
Wow. I see Icolas in a new light now.
He's shiny now.
He not only did you not just go through like the cleaning versus the you actually would have had your system scanned, heavily scanned, to make sure that you didn't have any programs on you. Any checks you want to make for me really quickly?
Oh shit!
Because obviously you do have some coding in you from before.
I do, yeah. I'm going to use a party pool of luck for this as well.
Sure.
Go for it.
Perform intelligence?
Yeah.
Perform?
Well, his original programmer had to hide some stuff within his core. It's stuff for like down the line.
Yeah.
So it's obvious right now that something's happening, but it's just down the line. All right. So, anyways, they do the scan, check over your systems, and you get the green light, and you're put into the room. So, anyways, he comes around and will introduce himself to all of you. And as he comes over, the first person he's going to introduce himself to is actually Constantinia. It's one of those. He walks in, reads the room, immediately goes over to the alien, and he walks over and he's like, "My name is Rear Admiral Kyber, and we'll shake your hands. I just want to say, thank you for all it is that you've done to assist my boys here."
Constantinia Lysiana. Thank you. You're welcome.
And then he'll go over and shake Carmine's hands and say the same thing. Rear Lieutenant Kyber, Rear Lieutenant Kyber, so on and so forth. And finally he'll go over and he'll sit down. And after he sits down, she'll sit down next to him with her data pad and just start more or less keeping record of what you guys are talking about. You imagine there's even like an audio feed that's being made. He doesn't announce it, but you know protocol. So he says, so the group of you, it's a strange group, comes in and we're going to say lands in an old pile of junk of Solarian craft, saying that there's a 50-year maroon. Please give me the details.
I imagine that I might be the one to give those details, given that, I mean, I can't really speak for, like, before what happened, but I can definitely, like, tell them, like, oh, I came down in a fireball. I'm gonna not speak about the mission I was on just yet, but I will definitely explain how I crash landed there, and Batarians were there, and there was fights, and there's people there that have been stuck for years. Basically, just to give them most of the rundown.
Gotcha. So
I will confirm that I was in the Batarian craft that crashed. Sabotaged it on the way down.
Gotcha.
I mean, I left out those details, but if you want to, like, specifically mention that, I guess.
I do.
Good. Can I give some kind of, like, data evidence of, like, you know, the city, the people I've met there, you know, just like a data dump
100%
of relevant stuff?
You would just ask her really quickly, like, you know, can I transfer data to your file? She'll say, 1 second. Shows
Give
him
me a
that,
Dropbox.
that you came up clean, and he'll like nod to that, and then she like opens up like exactly like a Dropbox for you to send it through, so it does its own once again virus filter, and then finally kind of pulls up, and it's like it's done in a very uniform way. It's actually in a Citadel format for how it is that all this information would be kind of compiled together, and so he'll actually see that and look it over, and he can easily read through it and be like, huh. Okay, but the number of Batarians that still exist on the planet that's still remaining after like a couple minutes of reading, but still seems to remain unknown.
I would just refer everything back to Carmine.
Looking back over to Carmine, he'd say, the Batarian group that's there, were you able to identify which mercenary bands they were part of, if they were part of the actual governments themselves, or any other greater organization, or is this a small freelance group that can easily be squashed and forgotten?
I'm not aware of any affiliations to the government or any major mercenary group. I didn't really have time. I don't know if I had any background information from, like, my mission.
Could I try to remember back to the ship, Scott, and see if I can make a connection, or no?
I'm gonna say no, because you don't really have a background specifically in that.
But I would have been literally briefed, like, we're going to take out this, and, like, so could I make, like, a sort of check to remember if I know, like, in the briefing if there were any, like, affiliations, that sort of thing?
Same thing with her. I'm going to say no on that one, but obviously, like, who it is that your employer might know this information. And actually, the Rear Admiral himself will say, well, clearly this job wasn't done out of the goodness of your heart, your former alliance, and your still off-duty active hierarchy. So it's very likely that this is a mercenary job for the two of you. You've been hired to do this job. Doesn't change the fact that you did some good this day, and thank you for that, but I kind of need to know what's going to happen before I just sending in ships and squishing out them bugs if this is going to cause a bigger problem. You know what I'm saying?
Perfectly
ruining their
understandable.
day will certainly get them a little irritated. You know, kind of like kicking a bee's hive, right? But that's the problem of them, and it's no offense, but a problem of yours that you're probably already forgotten. If I start sending in my troops, that could cause for a diplomatic situation. So
An incident, yes.
what I'm going to need from you is who your employer is, so I can start inquiring and finding out more.
Would I know, like, out of character, that they would be okay with me sharing that information, or is this like a secret sort of thing?
I would freely give that up unless I was told not to.
Yeah. You imagine that working for any of these mercenary organizations is perfect. You could totally talk that, because you're not doing like a, oh my god, secret undercover sabotage kind of mission, right? You're saying fuck these Batarian scum. And most people, that's like, does this organization you work for do bad things? Who knows? But this is totally fine.
Yeah, in that case, I would tell them that I, in fact, do it out of the goodness of my heart, but the pay is nice, and these are the people I worked with.
Did we ever say what the name of the organization you worked with was to get hired for this before the game started? It would have been real life like 2 months ago.
No,
Awesome.
you have not.
No, you didn't tell me that.
Then I'm going to allow Frank to make up the name of the organization that is generally pro-human.
The DM passes on that to the players.
I did this.
We'll
Frank
never
once
know.
before.
Poor Frank.
Frank's muted, by the way.
Oh, is that why? I thought he
God
was just
dang.
thinking.
No.
Me too.
Had some really good names that I just forgot. HMA, the Human March Alliance.
You can't have an alliance. There already is an alliance.
Yeah.
Association.
Yeah.
There we go.
March.
Yep.
Okay. HMA, the Human Martial Association. It's a band of mostly human mercenaries that handle mostly human problems, but it does branch beyond that. But strangely run by Hanar. Who knows? No.
Never surprised by their Sonar.
So they got their tentacles and everything. So you explain this to him, and he's like, HMA. Looks over to her, and she says, I'll have it looked into, sir. And throws it back to him. He nods and says, we'll reach out to them and see what it is that we can find out. Now, he looks to Sid, who is very tanned. He looks to Sid and
Sid's
says...
still in the ship.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
right. I keep forgetting. Sid didn't come. Scott, in your brain. So,
Sid's just sitting there, like, on the little, whatchamacallit, drawbridge of the ship, just not stepping off onto the planet yet.
he will say, are there any peoples on this this planet that you were able to bring back with you? You know, beyond, of course, the lieutenant that we have already debriefed in the other room.
Yes, there is our pilot, who found this vessel and fixed it with a friend of theirs, and we managed to bring one of the locals
Gotcha.
who really wanted to get off planet.
Gotcha. I need to learn the story of how it is that this planet, how this marooning came to pass. I'm going to need to speak to the indigenous of the area.
Understandable. I will take the person that is in cryostasis out of it, and I will have him run through the medical diagnosis just to make sure that everything's fine, and then we can sort that all out.
Will one person be suitable, or will you need transportation to the planet itself?
No. The people that you brought with you should be more than enough. That's 3 different perspectives I can speak to, right? So
Yes.
I can get information from all of them. That should be good enough. I imagine there's a variety of ages.
Yes, one of them used to lead one of the settlements there.
Very good. So that'll give you different perspectives, a better understanding of how it is that this all came to pass. The 4 of you are by no means considered prisoners and by no means detained within any facilities. However, your ship is currently grounded, as we can't have it flying around in case there are any biological materials that could be spread throughout our colonies here. So, that being said, you are free to come and go as you please. Your ship is currently grounded and will be able to take off again probably within the next 48 to 72 hours.
Roger that.
Alright. You are welcome to make your way around. all of you were part of Citadel life prior to this temporary marooning there. So I imagine you'll have full access to your bank accounts and whatever it was that you had in your possession prior to this incident happening. If you need any assistance in, linking up to the extranet or the like, my assistant is here to lend you aid. With that being said, is there anything else that you would like to part way with me before I get back to doing some work?
Just something informal. Are you aware of Rear Admiral Christopher Daxton?
Yes, I'm familiar with the gentleman. We've had drinks a few times.
Do pass on Carmine's regards if you happen to meet him.
Sure, I certainly will. Again, not on a first-name basis, but we've been to informal events together. If I will, I will. If I do, I will.
Thank you, sir.
He nods, and with that, he's actually going to head out of the room, so you guys can go and grab Sid and the other two, unless Sid's not coming this time. You can let me know when we come back for our next break. See you in a few minutes. Hello, everybody, and welcome back. So, you more or less go and get Sid and the rebel leader. Can you roll to have him come out of the cryo bay, please? And
Sure.
Dylan.
What happens if we fail to have him come out?
He did.
Don't worry about it.
What else you think gonna happen?
Listen,
Even worse, he'll be brain dead, so they'll be like, well, here he is.
Aaron, there are two things you need to worry about. One, whether or not he gets the first aid too, so he doesn't have to make these checks anymore. Or two, whether or not you're put into the cryo bay before he gets the first aid too. Okay? So you get Sid, the rebel leader, and Dylan, and you bring them here to be cleaned and checked and before they get brought in to have their own conversations. Now, Sid, the conversation you have with the Rear Admiral is very prodding as to how it was your colony came to pass, etc., etc., etc. One of the things you're going to notice is that the rebel leader, the personality, everything you've always seen of him before, is so incredibly different. As a matter of fact, when he first came out of cryo, and like first took a step off of your vessel and onto like the platform down below, literally just started sobbing and crying, and like was holding the ground and like breathing deep the air, and was like so happy. I mean, the air here is just so incredibly different than anything he's known for so long that like just the moisture in the air is more than you could drink in a lifetime, right? Over on Tyarma. So he's just so different. When he goes to the medical thing and like that mist and all that's happening, he does so like nervously but with a smile. The medical examination, they actually check through him. Everything checks out fine. It's like one of those, oh, you have a minor medical problem. They fix it immediately. Okay, welcome to future technology. And
I mean, on that planet, everyone probably has a minor medical thing at that point.
Exactly. Well, it's like radiation. It's like mild radiation poisoning. Mild, like so much trauma to your actual bones, parasites, all that stuff. Yep. So all those things, but they're able to like resolve them pretty quickly because of the modern technologies. So they take care of all that stuff, and then when you go and you speak to the Rear Admiral, he is very, very forthright. Like, the Rear Admiral will be like, all right, so tell me your names. All right, my name is blah, 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 I did blah, 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 I was there for blah, like, literally, first question throws out like 15 points of information. And so it's one of those, like, the secretary, not the secretary, sorry, the assistant, she actually struggles to keep up at first, but luckily is keeping like an audio file to go back over it later on. And he's so forthright that he gives up pretty much all the information for the three of you. But is there anything specifically that Sid wants to add into this conversation? Or how does Sid go about this whole scenario?
Oh, since leaving the ship, Sid has been like wrapped in a blanket because this place is cold.
Mm-hmm.
It's like 80 degrees and she's in a blanket just huddled up.
Mm-hmm.
Like, are all planets this cold?
That's when you first asked that to the woman that would have walked with you, she's like, oh no, this is summertime. It gets far colder than this, especially if you head north.
Sounds awful.
I'll actually make her like a hot drink, like tea or like coffee or hot cocoa or something, whatever they have here, if I could.
Yep, absolutely. They certainly would allow you to do so, assist you, so on and so forth.
Yeah, like I imagine they actually wouldn't have that like where Sid is from.
Nope. Well, everything's
I'll
a
make
hot
that.
drink.
Yeah, I'll make that for her.
Nice.
Be like, here, try this.
It's both delicious and warming. It's nice.
Mm-hmm.
A bit bitter, but that's okay. You can learn to either grow used to it or just cover up all the delicious flavor with sugar. Your call. So you just if you put milk in it, understand that you're booted. So,
Whoa.
True.
Whoa.
Yeah.
I don't respect that.
I drink mochas all the time.
That's okay. That's okay. As long as it's not a mocha tea. All right, let's
Milk
go.
tea is so fucking gross.
So
The
obviously,
entire country is wrong.
there's a little bit of that disconnect, the discomfort of you getting there. And the fun part is where this facility is actually kind of close to the equator because they use for all the ships that are coming in and landing. They actually kind of like rip towards the planet over the desert area because that's like more or less a fast lane travel kind of spot. So if you get from this side of the planet to the other side, you go over the desert. There's no structures you have to worry about, like sonic booms you have to worry about doing harm to anything down there. So that's where like ships will like rip around the planet really quickly to go to the other side and da-da-da-da. Much like how on Earth we have airplanes will travel close to the North or South Pole to have like the curvature of the Earth be lesser, so it makes the trip faster. They can just hit obnoxious speeds around this area to make the trip faster. Continuing on. Any information that she gives extra to this Rear Admiral?
I don't really know what's extra aside from Sid is going to basically tell the entire history that they know of that the guy hasn't filled, including everything up until they landed here.
Do you also give information to like what his position was there and like more or less kind of like rat him out completely too?
Oh god, yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's like, well, because they have to know the societal differences.
Of course,
so,
of course.
Like, so this guy was the leader of a fringe group that didn't really work well with our government because they had some minor disagreements, etc., etc.
Okay, so that was the only thing he was kind of light on the details for, but you filled it in. So the guy takes in all the information. One of the things he does say to you is Ivanov. So Ivanov, this is the name that you've brought up. Ivanov is the one that you're saying is the traitor that had all of you lost there. Ivanov is not gone from the Alliance military. Not at all. As a matter of fact, it's holds a position of relative significance over in the Utopias sector, not very far from here, only a few days travel from here. I have to say though that Misha, she is not someone to cross. This is important because in my suggestion, I would say that the three of you should probably stay here on this planet, actually, with me specifically, until we can compile enough information to take down what it is that Misha has done to find out whether or not all of this information you're giving me is true. Let me rephrase that. I'm sure it is true to you to make sure that all the information you're giving me is fact. Because if that's the case, she needs to be dishonorably discharged and more or less brought to the gallows. My suggestion would be that the three of you stay with me as for your protection.
So he kind of just blinks a few times, just didn't really know Ivanov, just knows the stories.
So, what's his name says, how, this is Dylan, how long would that take? To be honest with you, it's impossible to know with the significance of who it is that we're having this conversation about, the collection of evidence, interrogation of various peoples that would have been on that vessel at that time, tracking everybody down, finding old ship logs, really digging deep to make sure we have an airtight case before we approach this. Upwards of a decade. And Dylan's like, I mean, that's a lot to think about, but it isn't like we would be able to stay on this planet. Absolutely, you'd be able to stay on this planet, and until we're concerned that any information leaked, you'd be free to come and go throughout the planet as much as you'd like. We would just ask you to stay within certain cities because those cities would be able to be better protected, better, more easily get to you if we needed to, should information pass. But you would be able to have comfort. You would be considered a ward of the state. We would provide for you food, shelter, comfort, so on and so forth. Proper education. I imagine you were not properly educated in most things, being where you're from. while there's like that breaking conversation where maybe like Sid is thinking about coming up with a response herself, all of a sudden there's a hard slap on the table, and you see that the rebel leader, he goes, "Deal, done, no problem. I'll be more than happy to stay here. Anything to take her down and to get everybody out." You said there was food? Dylan is kind of like thinking for a little bit, and he's like, do we have to answer it now, or can Sid and I talk first? Of course, absolutely. You take all the time you need. I'll see you in an hour.
Yeah. Sid kind of looks up before the guy leaves and says, "I've already made up my mind. I've already touched the stars. I have a ship. I'm not going to be grounded again."
You can't take the sky from me.
He starts nodding with appreciation. Dylan kind of looks at you like, "We didn't even discuss it, man." He says, "You know, if you do choose to stay, you captained a ship that doesn't use the language that you do, that's ancient, and you're able to figure it out. You piloted, captained, whatever, that ship here. You've got potential, kid. If you did want to stay, we can make sure you go through the proper flight academy. We can make sure that you come out, fairly well set in the Alliance. You sure you don't want to stay here? 10 years is more than enough time to rank yourself up and captain a much larger vessel."
With a ship, space is a very small place. I'll be around.
Well, I'm not going to twist your arm. I guess that just leads to you there, Dylan. And Dylan's like, I'm still going to need that time. Like I said, see you in an hour. And he'll like turn and he'll leave, and he'll actually take with him the rebel leader to bring him out and be like, "Hey, let's go. I'll show you some food, or I'll have you sent off to be taken care of." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's like, "Bye. My point in this plot is over. Bye."
He survived.
And
unfortunate.
All right, and so that brings us over to Carmine, Constantinia, Icarus being able to rejoin with Sid and Dylan, right? And so all of you guys being able to keep the meeting room itself together. The assistant herself, she's still sitting in the room, but as everybody comes back in, she'll look to all of you and say, "I have some work I'm doing. I can either stay here and finish it up while you have your conversation, or I can step outside the room if that's more convenient for you."
Carmine looks at the others. He doesn't really mind her being there.
I don't care either way.
Sid just doesn't care.
Could you please connect me to the extranet?
What is the extranet?
Sid, you'll love it.
We will be able to
or hate it.
We'll be able to do that for you, sir, shortly. Once again, we just need to finish processing all the paperwork. In short, red tape, but soon.
What's red tape?
Red tape. There's actually, Icarus looks at Sid and kind of just like shrugs slightly.
Carmine just looks at the two of them and just goes, "Bureaucracy, paperwork."
What's paper?
Outdated.
I think Sid is just fucking with us at this point.
No, Sid actually has no idea what any of this is.
What paperwork is? No?
There's no paper
no
on
idea.
Tiama.
Right, but it's... Never mind.
Yeah, I imagine Constantinia and Carmine just look at each other.
I don't
like,
care enough.
No.
Go back
That's
to
beyond me.
I think Sid goes up to the person who's working and is like, "Hey, what's paper?"
You say that to her?
Yeah.
Oh. 1 second. Pulls out a little notepad and places it down. It's means by which it's the surface which we've used for record keeping for many years in human history. It's made out of the pulp of trees. Different types of paper could be made.
Books.
Yeah. Honestly, if you're that confused by such a simple concept, maybe you should rethink the offer for you to stay here and get a proper education.
Paper. What's the extra net?
She goes click click to her stylus and says, "I'll be outside the room." Gets up and walks out of the room to her paperwork.
So just rejoins the group at that point, whether they're talking or not.
Yep. So you guys talk amongst yourselves. Actually, Dylan would talk to Carmine and would explain, like, more or less the deal that was just offered and the concerns of that was just offered, saying like, "Hey-o, I could stay here and be in protection of the courts until such a date that, you know, the trial comes to pass, or I can float in the stars." And he said, more or less, he's like, I don't know what's, I mean, a proper education and the idea of being so comfortable. If uncomfortable now, I would get used to it. What do you think I should do?
Honestly, kid, the Alliance and we have our differences, but they're pretty good people. You'd be doing your own people a favor by staying here. And honestly, he kind of like tosses a side glance at Sid. I think getting a proper education and like getting up to speed with humanity as a whole now is going to be the best for you. You'll be safe here, especially with a rear admiral looking after you. Indirectly.
What would you do otherwise? Be my question.
Sid and I always talked about, you know, traveling the stars together, and it was a you know, a pipe, you know, dream.
There's no reason you can't travel the stars together in the future.
I'm going to thoroughly crush this kid's dreams.
I think Sid was about to do the
explaining
same.
to him, like how improbable it is on his spaceship to travel the stars, quote unquote. Like, here's how far you can get. Here are the systems you're going to. They're
At
not
some
going
point,
to be as
Carmine
friendly
just
to
like
you.
hushes her. Yes,
Talks over
that
him.
Solarian ship over there is not gonna cut it. But if he stays here, he can easily
Yeah.
find himself on a better ship.
You have no skills. You have no knowledge of anything.
And Carmine just takes him and politely wanders into the other corner of the room.
I think Sid just turns to Eikelis and is like, Eikelis, how would you rate his mechanical abilities aboard the ship?
They cannot deal with the type of ship. A Solarian ship requires technology and tools that we do not even have, and he could not even wield.
Sid just goes like this to Constantina. It's like, what she said.
So it's more or less a consensus where he kind of comes to terms with the idea, yeah, this isn't going to work out, and so he actually will start like his like goodbyes to the rest of the crew and whatnot now, as you know, he kind of like, you know, gives like a hug to, you know, blah blah blah, does like the big goodbyes. Eventually, the rear admiral comes back in. He announces to Rear Admiral he will be staying. He's actually very happy about that because there's so much that he can get from this boy that he wouldn't be able to get from the rebel leader, just because children tend to pick things up and have more of like an innocent perspective. And he actually seems like a good kid. He's not doing it for like greed or self-gain like the other one is. He's actually doing it because it's the right thing to do, right? And
Yeah.
So he is actually happy to take the kid on and says, you know, of course, I'll be taken care of, and anytime you come back to visit the world, you're more than welcome to see your friend, and blah, 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 blah. And the Rear Admiral more or less finishes his things up and says, as I've said before, you're free to come and go. However, your ship is grounded. I heard that there was a request to get onto the extranet. We should have things cleared up for the morning so that you'd be able to do so. We're just confirming all the different bits of information we've come across between now and then. Understand?
Excellent.
Okay, but what is the extra?
If there is like a moment, by the way, where the kid's like leaving and the Carmen looks like Constantina, she's gonna like shrug and be like, it was a good opportunity for him. Like, what do you want from me?
Huh?
His odds of survival here are 10,000-fold. Greater.
Yeah, is better than. Don't get me wrong. I was trying to talk him into staying, but not in such a. I was trying to leave him with dreams.
Oh, he
I
has.
don't understand humans. You try to leave him with dreams, and yet you wouldn't take the others with you because you're worried they would riot.
I was
You
worried that
are.
letting them know that some of them were leaving and others were not would cause society to collapse.
Humans want things.
They're
You-
very selfish.
Are selfish, confusing creatures.
We don't even understand ourselves. It's fine.
Turians have their own
I don't-
complications.
Oh, of course they do. And I completely am coming to understand that. I say that, Carmine. But in response to you don't even understand yourselves.
Okay. So the evening goes by. You guys are actually able to go and access. So when you finally come across the extra, so they provide for you room for the night, for its night tomorrow, whatever it is, so you can stay comfortable. They ask that you don't go back to the ship because every time you do so, they have to re-cleanse you for the purpose of contamination, and they're using scanners on your ship to see if there's any issues there. So kind of fast forwarding a little bit, they do actually find different types of bacterium, parasites, and whatnot that exist on the ship that they are going to have cleansed because of the fact that it is not their vessel, it's yours. They have to actually get your permission to go on there and do the appropriate cleaning of the ship for you so you can fly it around the planet. You can deny it, but that just means the only place you can take this ship is off-world. You can't use it anywhere else on the planet. It would have to stay docked here. And likely in the future, you would only be able to dock at a facility that would have the means of cleaning it in the future because they're going to have on record that it hasn't been cleansed.
Yeah.
I think Sid's fine with that.
Okay, fine with them cleaning it.
Why would they waste water like that?
Funny enough, they don't actually really use water, but yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Why would they waste alcohol like that?
So they go through the cleaning process. In the morning, you're able to access the extranet. Ollie will get to you in a second. In accessing the extranet, Constantinia and Carmine, you're able to find your old bank accounts on there. And we're going to sit both of those in a nice, comfortable 500 credits. Okay?
Cool. I've just gone up 200 credits then.
What was that?
I have 300, but now 500, so that's good.
Okay. So you are able to access the extranet. Who would like, before we get to what it is that Icarus is doing, who would like the responsibility of teaching Sid what the extranet is without necessarily teaching Sid what porn is?
Fine. I'll be the good person.
So it's one of those like, oh, that's a fun site. No, don't click that. Why? Just pretty
I
much
would probably like
anything that looks
sneakily
fun
try
to
to
me.
install like a blocker or something.
But it says fun ship.
It's not. No. Are you sure you want to do this, Carmine? Because I will. If you
Big
don't.
XXL fun.
Oh no, I will be.
Explaining the
Sounds nice.
extranet is very simple. I do
Not
not see
you.
the complications.
I'll take the
It's a
bullet.
series of tubes.
What's this say? Dean Cuddy, all angles? Click.
Space celebrity Dean Cuddy.
It's like, what does this say? 111 and still going. Wow, that's impressive. So anyways,
Future.
you of course teach Sid what the extranet is, but let's get to the more important one here. Ollie, what is Icarus really trying to get to the extranet? Unless there's something specific, what's the general idea of what Icarus is trying
Honestly, it's just one of those things. As soon as so I imagine the room has like a console, almost like a prison, where like there's a console. He'll immediately like, maybe after they're done with it, or if there's two of them, just sort of plug in, take a bunch of stuff out, plug it into him, and he'll just sort of like shut down, and then come back online. Just sort of. You have no idea how boring it is being trapped without this.
So
And then they're all busy doing something over there, so he goes and like sends some emails. He like talks to someone, don't realize no one's listening. Like, oh.
it's wonderful because like in the Matrix, we got to see like an organic version of this, right? With a and like uploading information or whatever. Obviously, there's certain types of limitations or whatever that Icarus can take, but he can take so much more data so much faster. So the idea it's like, okay, let's just catch up on everything known in the. Just oh yeah, there we go. I understand the Citadel now, and so
exactly.
It's one of those like you have your processing ability that you've already used once before. You more or less just like, yep, I've got the extra net. Okay. All right. So
then send some messages to people in the Citadel, and then I ask. I walk over these guys as they're teaching, and as Sid is tapping on the screen like an old lady.
I mean, in fairness, it's probably touchscreen now.
Yeah, I mean for sure, but like.
Oh, we just integrate touchscreen technology like into all of our buttons at work, which we have customers use.
Oh
no.
It's
No.
really funny.
Oh no.
They don't understand it. They can't get to work.
Oh no. Anytime you use like simple technology for like the mass public, they're like I'm confused.
They don't.
One day that will be us.
We replaced all of the buttons with touchscreen, and they just can't get it.
The next generation will have Cerebo unifying like crosswalks, and we'll be like, I don't understand it. Why isn't it an app? It'll be us one day.
I hate apps.
I can't wait.
I hate apps.
Couldn't we just Bluetooth to the thing?
No, I can't stand the modular nature of how apps are. I miss the old like.
I just want one app that does everything. I don't care if Amazon buys the world. Just being able to do everything on one thing will be very convenient for me.
Think of all the porn.
Amazon porn. That's what we need in life.
Oh, jeez.
Anyway,
go to the Amazon store. You know where the porn is already waiting for you when you arrive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Drone comes, gives you your porn.
If you're into that, that's fine.
Did you say that again?
Why
does it deliver it to you?
A drone comes and delivers your porn, yeah.
Why is it delivered? You just have it like
because here's the thing. In a few years, physical porn back in fashion.
So the drone brings you your package.
The drone brings me a package.
Oh, okay, good. Because I thought that was some advanced hardware for a minute there. All right.
I was worried.
All right. Anyways, you kind of go through all this stuff, plug into the extranet, get everything.
Right, I go over to them and I say, "When are we going to the Citadel?"
We can't get there with that ship.
Yet.
Then what's the course of action?
Upgrade the engine. Or get a new ship.
Neither of those things are as easy as you say they are.
I imagine updating the engine would be easier.
Updating the engine.
While they're like discussing this, I would like to write a message to the Human Mars Association.
Of course. With the extranet, you're able to do that. As you know, whenever you're dealing with any form of illicit kind of organization, to whatever degree that it is, in person is the only secure way of handling things. In person, like a scrambler, you know what I mean? Is the only but anything that's in the extranet could be used against you, sort of a thing. But you're of course welcome to send messages. I'm not saying this to be like all ominous. I'm just stating an obvious fact in a futuristic game. But go ahead.
The Ethernet is unsecure? What?
Yeah.
No,
exactly.
I don't believe it.
You can hack the internet?
Hack the system.
As a reminder, so during one of the other breaks, because again, it's so long since I wrote these rules and since we've used them, I had to double check myself how it is that we're doing mass relay jumps. So the way the mass relay jump works is that at its base, a core can jump as many hexes as its drive core number, right? You could trim the course, which increases the DC, to more or less treat it as though it's one higher. So you're treating your ship as though it's a 2 instead of a 1, allowing you to travel 2 hexes, bringing the DC from a 7 to a 9. There's also an increase for the total number of hexes that it is that you're traveling. So the actual DC to do a jump of 2 hexes is the DC of a my brain's not working. Hold on, I'm just make sure I say this right. So you're treating it as a 1 is 3, 1, 2, so 7, 8, 9. Give me 1 second so I make sure I say this correctly. Because a drive core of 1 can travel as far as 3 hexes. That's right. Which is a DC 7. However, traveling 3 hexes is a DC 10. That's the way it works. If you want to travel more than 3 hexes, it is going to be a DC at least 13. Okay? So if you're traveling 3 hexes or less on the galactic map, then you can auto-succeed on that, Frank, because of an ability that you have. Anything further than that is going to be where the penalties start to come in. So you're asking, like, how far can we really reach? Those are your limitations. Coincidentally, one of those options, I believe, actually can get you as far as Earth, which is nice. However, the Citadel itself is going to be out of reach for you, as of right now. Okay, so you guys were talking about extranet, talking about getting all those things brought to you. What was the most recent thing that you had said?
We were talking about where we were going and upgrading the core. I'll point out that we can upgrade the ESO cores on the ship. That requires currency.
Mm-hmm.
That means one of us is going to have to earn currency.
Mm-hmm.
Do any of you have any saleable skills?
I can fly.
I tap my gun.
I kill people.
Then we are mercenaries.
Constantini and I might be able to get some funds from the Human Mart Association, although not enough to upgrade a drive core.
Then we will find mercenary work on this planet. The faster we upgrade the core to the ship, the faster we can get to the Citadel.
Okay. So you will speak to when everything's kind of like said and done, and you guys are like looking around, trying to get your bearings and all this. I imagine this is once again, as you described very well before, Frank. It's very uncomfortable for Sid right now, as she's kind of getting used to it. Eventually, you are given permission to get back to your ship. Before we get back to the ship itself, the assistant will actually speak with you, and she'll let you know. We have completed cleansing of your vessel, so of course you're more than welcome to take it freely as much as you'd like throughout this entire system. Despite the fact that the transmission code that you have for your vessel is strange, old, very antiquated, we did of course put that into the Alliance database, so it will be recognizable moving forward. That will of course eventually join onto the Citadel's database, so you could be able to be identifiable in the future as a non-hostile vessel. All right. While going through the vessel, we were able to procure little bits of information. We weren't snooping necessarily. We were just making sure that we were cleansing, and we had to find stuff to make sure that you were safe. Also, we were scanning to make sure that your vessel was safe. We did find bits of information that we found to be interesting, and we'd like to bring to your attention, because since you seem to have stumbled across this vessel, you may not be aware of it yourself. Your ship is a very old ship and has on it very old data. Running that data adjacent to ours, we're able to discover most of the things on there line up with ours fairly well. It was actually a 97.6% accuracy to the information that was on there, to the information that we have for all things that have been scanned in the past. We did in fact also notice that there were other systems that apparently those that flew this vessel before found to be of interest. Kind of checking those with our database, we found out that those are systems we have no information for even as of today. And so we would be interested in perhaps a bit of exploration. We've entered an age in human life where we're continuing to expand. We're continuing to put a deeper and heavier footprint into galactic society. But our focus has been in a bunch of different areas, focused very inward to human interest expansion within galactic society, but not necessarily human expansion in the galaxy itself. What I'm getting to is, if you find any information that may be of significance to the Alliance, and you would like to bring that information and sell it to the Alliance, we'd be more than happy to buy it off of you. Do you understand what I'm trying to describe to you?
Everyone was nodding, Scott. I know you can't see us very well.
I saw the reaction. It was funny though, because you all nodded, nobody spoke, which I thought was hilarious. It was like one of those, like a teacher.
Well, I think you're only talking.
She's very teacherly.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's one of those like, yes, teacher. So she says, Then with that being said, one of the things that we did notice that your ship is strangely capable of handling is it seems to have a hull or the systems inside of it are designed to withstand the atmosphere of gas giants better than many other ships of its size. It's an interesting feature. And so what we would actually first ask you to do is to our nearby gas giant, Bohr. We would like you to do a full scan of that brown dwarf. If you can go over there and scan that and send that information over to us, then that would kind of lock us in that we are interested in the kind of information that you can gather, and in exchange we'll of course give you a bit of a reward for it. Now I imagine that not all of you are scientists, she says, kind of like trying to be humorous, looking at the ragtag bunch of you, and so maybe this isn't the most exciting of things. So the reason why I bring it up is perhaps you're doing other tasks that bring you to other regions. Take advantage of the opportunities of the new regions you find yourselves in. Did you have a place in mind where you were intending on going? Did you have somewhere that you needed to be? I didn't hear you, Aaron.
Citadel.
Oh, if you need to find your way to the Citadel, I don't know whether or not this vessel can take you there, but you can always hop onto another transport. You can leave it docked here, at least for some time. I'll speak, of course, to the Rear Admiral, but I don't think he would charge you, at least for this initial time of leaving it docked here, if you would like to hop onto a transport and find your way to the Citadel.
I think Carmine,
I think that will not be the course of action we will be taking.
Of course, you're more than welcome to do what it is that you'd like, but if you're interested in finding your way to the Citadel, there are transports that can bring you there.
Noted.
Very well.
Yeah, Carmine's tempted, but probably not.
I
think
mean,
Sid's actually tempted as well.
yeah, it would be like, all right, we did what we said we're going to do.
They're
We're
not.
go back now.
Sid is not attached to this ship, so. Michaelis is. I know. Literally, he's attached.
All right, well, maybe we should discuss that, I say, looking at Carmine.
Okay, well, I would like to see the Citadel. I have some people that I need to have a word with.
This isn't a conversation you necessarily have to have in front of me, so please
Of
allow
course.
me to remove that awkwardness for you. I was just making sure that you were informed of the information that was given to me by the Rear Admiral himself. If you bring information of value about the various systems, planets, or specifically brown dwarfs that you're able to scan, because that's something that not all vessels have the capacity to do, at least to the degree that your ship seems to be able to do, we would be interested in that. Otherwise, if you have any other information, please feel free to contact me directly. And with that, she'll actually, take more or less like a virtual card, and she'll just does this like strange little swipe motion on her data pad that she's holding that goes over to all of your Omni tools and right into Nicholas's head. And so you actually have her information, and so she's going to be Lieutenant. I don't know if anybody writes this down.
I am.
Same.
Sid is going to ask them if they have a card, because Sid does not have an Omni tool.
He doesn't. He's going to ask for a card when he doesn't know what paper is.
I mean,
What?
Lieutenant.
it could be plastic. Probably knows what plastic.
How do you spell lieutenant?
Lieutenant.
Lieutenant.
LT
Done
period.
LT.
LT period. Listen, that's your weird British spelling.
There's an
Lieutenant.
I in
It's
it.
French. Lieutenant is French, I'm pretty sure.
I know.
Lieutenant.
A bunch of wasted vowels, clearly French.
Yeah.
So
Even I don't
These
like that.
Lieutenant.
So Lieutenant Philomena Bresnan.
I'm not going to write it down because I didn't get the card, because I don't have an Omni tool.
That would be something that you should probably look into acquiring there, Mr. Omnitoolist person.
I mean, Techno-Barbarian just doesn't have modern technology.
It's 500 credit for an Omnitool.
God, that's expensive. I have
yeah.
no credits.
All right. If there's anything else I can be of assistance with, please feel free to contact me directly. Of course, on that contact I gave you is a direct link to my data pad. This is a secure channel, at least on my end. As long as you secure your end, we should be perfectly fine to have open communication back and forth. I wish you best of luck. And
Thank you.
She turns to leave, then turns back and says, "One last time," looking to Sid.
I'll think about it.
She nods and she turns off, walking away. Once again, you hear the boots as they go. All right, so you guys are able to get back onto your ship. When finally, after 72 hours of being removed, you finally get back onto your ship to have your conversation, figure out what you need to do. As you guys can walk it back onto the ship, you hear, "Oh, hey there you guys are. I've been wondering, you've been gone for days now and whatnot. I was just wondering what's been going on."
Okay, why didn't the cleaning crew kick him off?
He was being
we were
clean.
leaving him.
The one pest that modern technology cannot remove.
Humans?
Oh, get a broom.
Now we gotta clean again.
So again, the thing wasn't cleaned the way Icarus was. It was made safe. You know what I'm saying? So anyways, you guys are able to get back onto your vessel, and on your vessel, you can have your conversation. As a reminder, you do have on your vessel that meeting planning room, which is kind of in the heart of the ship, the center of the ship. So you can imagine you guys can go in there and sit there. Let me describe this room for the first time before you actually jump into that conversation. The cool thing about the meeting room is it has that table that everybody can comfortably sit at. It actually comfortably seats 8 to 10 people around the table. The table itself is it's a very, very old-fashioned one, so it's kind of strange in how it is you interface with it. But it's actually a touch screen interface. The whole thing is in itself a computer, so you can kind of interact with it and take notes, transfer data, give displays, so on and so forth. There are a few other monitors and screens around the room as well. Unfortunately, most of those are broken, busted, whatever. They're not working right now. That once again allow for like plannings, meetings, so on and so forth. You can kind of like show stuff that you need to around the room. Those ones being broken. This one, however, is still functioning. So anyways, you guys do sit in the meeting room in the heart of the vessel, and can have your conversation. I believe I interrupted Erin as I had her say the goodbye.
Felicia.
Philomena.
I don't remember. I'm sorry. I don't remember what I was saying.
Nope, that's fine. You guys are kind of discussing where it was that you wanted to go. If you wanted to transport or keep the ship or sort of thing. There you go.
Yeah. I would just state that my job here is done. I have helped the humans on the planet. I intend to go forward. I look at Carmine like, was there another reason why we were here?
Just so you know, Erin, you also know that the hierarchy would also be interested in the information that you would be able to procure on this. That's not necessarily something that you would bring
What,
up.
the hierarchy?
The hierarchy.
The Turian hierarchy?
Your civilization.
Turian leadership.
I wasn't operating on behalf of the Turian
No,
hierarchy
but
at
your
all,
civilization.
as far as I know.
Your whole
You know they'd be
civilization and
interested.
the fact that you're still a member of the military to it.
I'm not still a member of the military to it. I didn't know that.
Okay.
I'm on leave.
You'll leave means you're still a member of the military.
Right, but I wasn't acting on their behalf at all during any of this.
I'm not
That's
saying
relevant.
you need to. I'm not saying you need to bring them information. I'm saying that if you were to come across
might
information they
be.
might be interested in, they
We
might
could
be
sell
interested
this
in
to
it.
them as well.
So they
for
might
money.
be interested in this? Sure.
Yeah, basically what we have is that we can survey scan planets in an amazing detail.
Cool. There's a lot of people
Everyone wants
talking. I just need one person to talk. So who wants to do it? Go.
That's all he's explaining.
Is that? Oh, cool. Okay, then fine.
That's
Then
it.
I wouldn't say any of that.
Yeah.
Then I take back what I said. All right, cool. I'll stay here then.
All right, cool. Whoa, I'm not. So you could totally say I'm done here and want to move forward. I'm just making sure that you have that in the back of Constantinia's mind. So you're
That
saying-
wouldn't be something I'm interested in, really.
exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Then why was it
Yeah,
brought
you
up?
kill things. You're not a
It's
scientist.
just so it was something
Right.
you know.
So you something you know because it's like one of
Okay.
those things. Like for instance, there's a gerbil in the backyard. It's not something I give a fuck about, but hey, now I know. You know, like there's
All
not
right,
a gerbil. In the
so-
backyard.
Ignoring all that, because I don't care about it. I'm gonna say, I did what I accomplished to do. You helped the humans there, correct? Is there anything else I need to know? Why would I be on this shitty little ship?
Excellent question.
I came here to help humans.
The humans
Do
have
you
been
need-
helped.
Do you need further help?
I mean,
You are humans.
don't really know what we're.
Yeah.
we could look around and see if there's any mercenary work to be done.
At this point, with the scanner on the ship and being able to sell that information, mercenary work may be more danger than it is worth. I honestly
Granted.
vote for traveling to Bohr, scanning it. It might take less than a day.
Sid already has like
Sure.
the schematics up on the hollow screen or whatever for Bohr. Well, do you already have another job lined up?
No.
Saying
I do not.
why not
I
just
still
make a
need
couple
to
extra bucks then?
resolve payment with my last employer after I fell out of contact.
Same thing
Let's
with
put it that.
Constantinia. Yeah.
Well, what's better? Not having a job and not making money, or not having a job and making some pocket change?
I mean, I could take a transport to the Citadel and resolve the things fairly simply. Afterwards, who
cannot.
knows?
I'm gonna stay with my ship, but you guys can do what you want. You help my people, well, go help yourselves.
I am also staying with this ship. For the time being.
I want to ask what Carmen is doing.
Carmine needed to run
He
away.
just ran away.
Carmine, he got shy all of a sudden and left.
Well, Carmine's is not very significant for the purpose of scanning Bohr at the very least. Perhaps
My
Carmine can-
intention
Mhm.
is to help humankind on this mission while I'm on leave. If I can do that, I will stay with you. If not, I will go elsewhere.
From
You're
a point of
human.
view, assisting with the scientific information is technically benefiting humankind.
There's
although
very little
your,
I can do with that.
Your mission parameters are vague and confusing.
I can kill people who are hunting humans. Is that vague?
That is more easier to understand.
Good.
So, what you could always do for that initial one of just scanning Bohr, less people on the ship makes things a little bit more difficult because there's equal amount of work and less people pulling their weight. But you could always have Constantinia and Carmine and your little friend there fly out to the Citadel to retrieve your payment for the job that you had already finished, while Sid and Ichlis stay on the scanning vessel and try to get comfortable with what it is, like how it is that they're going to be scanning this brown dwarf and so on and so forth. Getting familiar with the fact that you're flying into a brown dwarf's atmosphere, which is again a gas giant's atmosphere. So I think that planet is like 6 times the
Are
size
brown
of Jupiter.
dwarfs gas giants? Or are you using a weird word?
Gas giants are sometimes brown dwarfs.
Okay.
This planet is 6 times the size of Jupiter, and so
I
can-
forgot that
yeah.
the dwarves are just a vague suggestion of size. I didn't remember that.
Oh, dwarf refers to
Where-
stars. Yeah. And
Yeah. But why you can do brown dwarf is it's not an actual definition of the stars.
Yeah.
It's like a.
Yeah. Exactly.
I was
the
getting
star is
confused.
big, but we're going to call it a dwarf.
It could have been
Wow.
a star if it wasn't the fact that Asgard, which is the name of the actual star, if it wasn't the fact that Asgard, like kind of during the galactic formation, gobbled up all of its
Sucked out
material.
all its monies.
Yeah. So, anyways, that's you would be able to go and kind of like scan throughout that planet. It's a huge fucking planet. Again, it's 6 times the size of Jupiter. So it's a huge fucking planet. So you'd be able to do that. They would of course be gone longer than probably it would take to do that. But does that sound like a decent option? And I'm sure Rick heard most of that.
Actually, I didn't hear fuck all because I got called because suddenly they want to know like the ins and outs of a monitor. And I'm like, why? So I kind of missed all of that. Sorry.
That's fine.
Split party. You and Constantine, you go to Citadel. Sid and Ichlis do the exploration.
Yeah, that would work, I guess.
That way you can get money.
Like
in
Carmine
return.
doesn't really mind. He's generally like helpy people.
I feel like
That's what he's
whenever
been
we
doing.
split the party, the characters don't mind, but PCs are like, ugh,
Yeah.
If you have to.
Yeah.
I mean, I
Yeah.
could do some shopping on the Citadel.
Mhm.
I could use some extra gear, so I think that would be the best for Carmine, and then we'd link up later or something.
Okay, so the whole idea is that the two of you would be paying for transport to get all the way to the Citadel and all the way back again. That transportation is not cheap. That's why there's actually specifically a merit or whatever that you can buy that allows you to do that.
Do we
for
have
free.
enough to even afford it?
You do, actually.
Yeah, like
Okay,
how
cool.
much is it?
You do. It's going to cost you 400 credits to get there and back, I
Oh,
believe.
and you just both happen to get 500. How convenient.
Almost like it was there for convenience. Actually, nope. It's a little bit more. It's 500 credits. There we go, because it's 10 hexes.
Oh, okay.
So 500.
Oh,
credits.
that's even more convenient then.
That's even more.
Yeah.
No pocket change.
It's a
for
good
you.
thing my bank account was changed from 300 to an arbitrary unit of 500
No, it's
then.
not that you got free. It's that you had 300. Now your bank account had 500 in it as well. So now
3 and 5
you still have the
equals
300.
8.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Carmine's moving up in the world.
You just had 300 credits in your back pocket.
Yep.
And we're gonna get paid for doing this.
Well, I mean, in my defense, it was
Oh,
a very
that's true.
rough
You're gonna
crash.
get paid. Do
Okay.
they have a travel fee sort of thing set in with your mercenary group? As the tickets?
No, that's cute.
I think we went on their ship,
Yeah.
or
Which
like,
crashed.
Yeah. You kind of crashed
The
their
Terry-
ship.
that's not a mistake
But-
though. My part, I shot their ship to crap.
That is the your big defense is I wasn't the captain, I wasn't the pilot, I was the guy that shot things.
Fire
And I
guns that
came
didn't
back.
I snuck onto the ship, sabotaged it. I sabotaged it.
Yep.
It's gone.
You guys did your job, so you're
Yeah.
fine. You're good to go.
Mm.
Okay, so you're going to with your friends there. Well, we're gonna head out there. We're going, all right, get off this dinky little piece of shit. You're gonna get onto that vessel and you're and head over to the mass relay, which you've done a bunch of times before. So again, it's gonna be like, I believe, a double jump, or actually, because you're gonna be on a newer ship, it's gonna be one big jump to get you from Asgard to Utopias. Over in Utopias, you're gonna hop onto the mass relay. We're gonna do a jump over to the Anospasin, which is your Solarian region, and then hop onto the next mass relay, travel to it, and hop on to boom, get you over to the Serpentine Nebula. That whole trip takes you 12 plus 50. The whole trip to get there is going to take you about 72 hours, I think, to just keep rounding to days. So 3 days, I believe, just to get there, which means it'll take you about 3 days to get back, plus the amount of time that you're going to spend there. So kind of keep that in mind. As for Icarus and Sid, the only two that are left behind, what it is that you're doing, what it is that they're doing. So you guys just get there. Whew, you're on the Citadel. Don't worry about that. What is all you guys are doing? We're going to get back to in just a couple of minutes. We're going to take our last break, come back for our last hour, before we then play the next show over on Ollie's channel. Back in a couple minutes. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to hour 4, the final hour of this session. So, you two with your NPC friend hop on a shuttle and fly off to the Citadel. As for the two that stay behind, it's not like you just immediately jump in the ship and go, let's rocket off to Boar!
Nope.
There's actually a lot of things that you need to do around the ship. There's bits of data that you wanted to look at, and blah, 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 blah. So, Ollie, you specifically said you wanted to be able to plug in over there. You don't have the money to be able to buy the parts to make that happen.
How much is the money?
Absolutely. So using the extranet and trying to like find it more or less like on like subreddit sort of thing, on forums.
Scrap on Terra Nova.
So looking for ways that it could be done on other Solarian vessels of modern technology and stuff like that, you realize it's honestly, with a modern ship and the way that it's interfaced, could probably be done for about 25,000 credits, but you know, requires some work. With this ship, you're thinking it might require a bit more than that. You know what I mean? You're not quite there
3,000 plus.
I'm sorry?
3,000 plus.
You don't know yet. You don't know how much it'll cost.
Gonna aim in the 3,000 plus sort of range.
I mean, you're already at 25,000, so a bit more, you know, than just.
I mean, you said a little bit more, so I rounded up.
Sure.
It sort of makes sense.
We'll get to that detail as you get to a Solarian looking over the vessel for you. And then I'll give you some more information.
Who said anything about that?
You're not a mechanic, man. You're a computer.
Sid might be.
I might be.
Oh, actually, Sid, what is your mechanics? Please remind me.
My electronics is 1.
Yeah.
But you don't.
That's the whole point. I'm not a mechanic, but they are.
Yeah. All right, Sid, why don't you roll me an electronics check? Let's try to think of how.
Well, you see, well, that's busted. We're gonna have to replace that. You know, if we take it to the shop, they're gonna give us a raw deal.
9.
Okay.
I mean,
Sid,
don't you like a raw deal?
You more or less come to the same conclusion that Icarus does, and so you're not entirely sure how it is that you're going to be.
I would like to re-roll.
Oh, you can do that. Sure. Go right ahead. And if not, then he uses processing. Wow.
9.
Same exact result.
No, it's not how processing works.
Okay. So now you are. So you guys are going through the stuff. Icarus, you yourself are going through the information that was kind of locked into these files that pertain to like previous surveying missions. You actually come to realize that, much like what she had described to you beforehand, it does seem like what they're generally gathering information on is gas giants. That does seem to be specifically the kind of information that they're gathering. But further research like is showing like little bits of patterns and whatnot that are here and there of where it is that they're trying to research. They're not just plucking every gas giant around. They're clearly selecting specific ones to go out and research. Could you do me a favor and roll for me a lore intelligence check to see if you can figure that out?
Sure.
Just Icarus?
Correct. The problem is that it's so spaced out.
I'm going to spend 1 processing to figure that out.
Oh, look at that. I love that in Stars Without Number, there's just fuck you DM abilities. Like,
to be fair, that is all my class is.
Yeah. Well, it's the same thing with
One of my abilities are, hey, let's spend 1 mana and win.
I'm like, Aaron, I really need you to miss this attack. And you're like, well, I'm just going to auto hit. And I'm like, oh, Rick, I critically hit you. And he's like, or you missed.
No,
like,
fuck you.
Like, come on. So anyways, you use your processing. So more or less, like, you kind of like bore into the data. You allow like your VI minds to open up and start like filtering through it and running through all like the probability. And
Sid walks into the room with the processing towers. It's Tayama warm again. A lot of whirring.
Wow,
a desk fan set up to try and cool down the towers, you know, whole thing.
And as you're doing this, you actually do come to realize that they're not specifically just looking at any giants. They're actually looking at gas giants that have a very specific type of molecule that exists there. And pouring through the information even more, it's actually believed that this type of molecule that exists there was a part of the building block of a different type of life, a type of life that actually required that kind of an atmosphere to exist on. However, it's kind of curious as to what it is that they're looking for, because they haven't found any living life before. They're almost like looking for ancient ruins or like signs of life that would have existed long ago. Continuing down this train of thought with the processing, because this is kind of like once you put all the other ones together, the building blocks come to this conclusion. They believe that at some point in time, there may have been another civilization that existed at the same time as the Protheans, if not even older than the Protheans, that potentially were what caused the fall of the Protheans. You know what I mean? The downfall of the Protheans. Because there's no understanding as to why the Protheans are gone, or if this other race genuinely did exist, why this one's gone. What happened to the two of them? And that's kind of like the whole point of the research vessel. So you kind of like find out all this information, the little tidbits, Bohr was not a gas giant of interest at all whatsoever. However, the gas giant that existed over in where my cop was, that was... Give me 1 second. I can't remember which one. It doesn't really matter.
Their gas giant has ancient particles.
So yeah. It was the one Degradivorit or whatever it was called. That one, the one that more or less like was a great space for like dumping crap into. Over my cop actually did have particles of that back when it was scanned 3,000 years ago. Okay. All right.
Okay.
That's the information that you're kind of able to procure over the course of a couple of days of getting familiar with the system. Sid, those few days, because I knew that's what Eichlis was going to do. What was Sid doing around this vessel? Were you kind of like doing the little finishing fix-ups here and there, or is this how you fix it?
Just, because it's just those two, pretty much all the mechanical stuff when he's not around, and doing all the piloting stuff since he isn't, and learning as much Solarian as they can to read the programming and stuff.
Okay. Your friend Dylan actually would, for those first like 3 days or so that you're here,
have volunteered to
assist you in different ways. So one of those, like, hey, you're still here, so let's hang out, buddy. And would kind of like assist you with all the different things that you do. So we at least, because I mean, Sid seems kind of like an isolationist, and so probably appreciates their alone time. And Eichlis is more than happy to provide that to you. But, Dylan does allow for some interpersonal activity. Like you go to your own regions, work on the things that you are, come back and talk, and once again go. Cool. All right. Eventually you do take off and head to Bohr itself to pull yourself into a ginormous gas giant to do a full reading scan. A modern scan, because the last time it was done was... there's not even a file. It's one of those things where it's like you could find out in like their old map.
They know it's there.
Exactly.
But they don't know any details.
Wasn't a point of interest. It's more or less what it was. So you go there and you're going to do the scan. So what I actually need from you, because of the fact that gas giants are not easy to navigate or fly in and whatnot, even if your ship is designed for it, I'm actually going to require you to do a piloting check, because it is a very heavy gravity. It's a very dense atmosphere. It's actually very dangerous to fly through them.
I'd also like to say I'm on engineering on the bridge.
Mm-hmm. This is a piloting check for you, Frank. You can roll for this. I'll allow you to roll intelligence or dexterity.
Let's go with intelligence.
Did you say engineering on the bridge, the third station over there?
Yes.
All right, so you said piloting what?
Intelligence.
Cool. So more or less, you're using your smarts to avoid all the dangerous areas of the planet, trying to stay to where like the storms that are there are a little bit lesser, so on and so forth. Getting as close to the surface as you possibly can without burning out the ship, because it is a very, 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 very fucking hot planet. You know what I mean? There's potentially even still a little bit of fusion reaction that happens deeper down in the core of it, right? So when you come to the planet itself and you're trying to navigate there, almost immediately as you're entering, you start experiencing turbulence because, let's be serious, it's still a gas giant. And as you're going in, of course, you're trying to do the best you can with your scanning there, Icarus. So please feel free to roll for me your scanning check. Don't forget the +2.
I'm going to commit some processing to give me more a +2 to this. I'm not gonna. I can't go to a +3, but let's be honest, it's a bit ridiculous.
Ridiculous is fun.
I already rolled 3 dice. Then it's a +2.
I don't see the issue here.
Then it's a +3. So now I'm adding a +5.
Yeah, I was gonna say, don't forget about the other +2 from the.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Again, I don't see the issue, but you know, it's your character.
He only has so much processing that he can commit on a day.
Yes, but it's a new day.
I know.
That's why I'm doing it.
Oh my god, another 14. So you go and you scan the fuck out of this planet. And as you scan the planet, trying to pick up all the information that you can. For one, obviously you're interested in trying to find that molecule that we had discussed
that
beforehand.
ancient particle.
Exactly. You don't find any, which is of no surprise to you. I will tell you, just flat out tell you, that finding that particle is very, very difficult to do. It's a flat 12 to find with the scanning. It can get more difficult based off of certain,
I figure it's one of those things where this was designed to find it. If you didn't have this thing, it'd be pretty hard.
So you go around trying to find it, you don't find any of that particle here. However, while scanning the surface of this this planet and whatnot, scanning like they're tracking the storms, where they're going. Scanning this planet, by the way, is not just like we're done. It's fucking huge. And so you have to navigate around the planet, sometimes coming slightly out of the atmosphere because of how dangerous it is, sometimes going back in. The whole process for scanning this whole planet actually takes about 3 days because of how huge it is. So you do it in shifts, you do it in turns. Sometimes you back away and nap, then go back in, whatever. Icarus doesn't have to sleep, right? So Icarus can continue doing the scans from different areas or compiling data. All in all, when you're done, what you are able to find out is that there are some areas where the reserves of helium are so great that it actually, you were able to pinpoint the best mining spots of the planet. And you're like, oh, this is actually something that humans might find of significance, even if I don't give a fuck. Okay. So, anything else that would be on this planet? I'm just trying to remember really quickly. Nothing else stands out for you.
A whole bunch of data that's not relevant to us.
Exactly. Eventually, you kind of back off and you make your way into the planet down below to go speak with the lieutenant. We're going to peel away from you guys for a second and go to the other ones. You hopped onto a transport vessel that brought you over to Utopias. There, you're able to find yourself a transport vessel, the 2 relay jumps that brought you to the Citadel, and there you are in the Citadel, the 3 of you finally there. Your friend is with you, Carmine. He's like, hey, you stop worrying about me like a Nancy-pansy panty and whatnot. I can take care of myself. I'm here on the Citadel. They got all sorts of drugs make me feel good. And you go to speak with the representatives of the HMA.
Yep.
HSA? M?
HMA.
HMA. All right. So they actually have an office here because they are on the up and up. They actually have an office here that you can go to and speak with them. It's not like you're dealing with the Blue Suns, which have you have to meet in a bar somewhere. So they do have a small office here that you're able to go into. The office is, again, it's small because it's more or less a meeting place. So you can find data information. They'll have pay chips and stuff like that for you. Sometimes they'll have weapons or where it is that you can drop off things of significance that you've discovered. Here, I've delivered this thing I needed to bring to you, and it has lock boxes out back, etc., etc. So you go.
I would have probably filed a report while we were on the transport ship, just hey, this is everything that happened, and just all that sort of stuff. People who were deceased, old Yeller over there who survived, that sort of thing. Just all the details, so I don't have to recount it again and again and again and again.
So they compiled a report to deliver there, or you actually created and sent that report?
I would have created it to hand it over there.
Okay, so when you got there, perfect. Does Constantinia do the same thing where she does her own report, or is she look over his shoulder and kind of gives a thumbs up?
Can I do both?
Sure, absolutely. If he allows you to, then yeah. Cool. So you guys do your own thing, so on and so forth. He will be like, "What are you guys doing?" Compiling a report. Sounds good. You know, don't forget to mention me in there. You know, like totally doesn't want to do his own report.
Sure.
I mean, if he doesn't want to get paid, that's his problem.
So you make your way to the location. When you get there, again, it's a small office. The front windows are all glass, but you know that glass cannot be shot through with lasers or bullets. It's very well protected without like some sort of demo charges or something. There's nothing that's going to hurt it. You know, it's the Citadel. So
thankfully, I have 3.
Hey, you know that of course on the Presidium, no weapons are allowed. So Presidium, sorry, no weapons are allowed. So this location where you are, it is the Presidium, so you're not allowed to have arms on you unless you're licensed to do so. Constantinia, if she was an active member of the military, nobody would ever question because she's off duty. She cannot have a weapon on her, but doesn't need it anyways. When you go there, they do have 2 guards, one on either side of the door. They're just, you know, one's a Taurian guard, one's a human guard. They just, as you guys can walk to the end, they give you the nod. Over there behind like a terminal, you see somebody kind of click-clacking away and handling stuff. As you guys come walking in, he'll turn over to you and be like, hey, what's your identifications? And you kind of like give over like who you are. Your files pull up and he sees who you are. He's like, okay, you were set on the, oh, hello. You went over to the MyCop mission. Yeah, you have a file? What happened? That ship went silent.
We had some incidents, and I sent him over the report.
Yeah, grab a chair. Hold on. It goes to the report, and you can see, like, maybe the person that you're speaking to is another human, of course. The person that you're speaking to maybe he has some sort of upgrades. Maybe he's just a very quick reader, but he actually skims down this thing ridiculously fast. Both of the reports ridiculously fast, and then he'll come over to you and be like, "Yeah, I just read through everything, and those are some incredible details. Everybody's dead."
Pretty much. Only me and I point the other guy out survive, as well as Constantini over here.
Wow.
I mean, if he's human, I don't grab a seat. Like, yes, I'm doing understand there.
Okay. He is human. So he's like, that's just mind blowing. Everybody's dead. Like not 1 or 2 of them, but everybody's dead. Wow. Well, the payout was pretty good, so that should cover the amount of money we got to send to the family for incidentals. So, you destroyed the ship, completely take it off the market.
Yep.
There's no chance of it ever coming back to the skies.
It is in so many parts.
Good. That solves any problem. You said that there's people down there?
Yeah, we've already visited the Alliance military, or the Alliance, like, in the nearby system to, like, see if they could, like, rescue them.
We visited a human system. Like, not necessarily Alliance.
I would know that he is Alliance, and like, I could easily fill in that gap. It's like, it's a rear admiral. He's got clout.
Well, I'm glad that the tip that we got was good. I'm glad that the mission you went on was successful. All the other collateral will be handled monetarily, so that takes care of it. I assume you're just here for pay.
Pretty much.
All right. Goes over, heads over to grab up these actual physical chips. Takes a chip, the 3 chips from an area, plugs them into a computer, presses a couple buttons, pops it out, the next one, and then finally the third one. He comes over and hands you guys each a chip for you to take, and you can use in your Omni tool. You can plug into an account to have the funds wired into your account for you, and says, well, there's your pay for the job. The question is whether or not you're looking for another one.
I look at Constantinia for a second and was like, that depends.
Agreed.
Depends on what?
Well, what do you have for us?
I mean, there's always different types of jobs that can happen. It all depends on, you took out a ship. You destroyed it. we're not holding you accountable because you happen to be amongst the few people that can't be held accountable for such a thing. A few bits. How are you getting around?
We found a local ship. A bit old. It doesn't really get very far, so we're kind of constricted to that area for the time being, unless we take expensive transports. Not really a fan of that, so if you have anything near there that requires, and I describe like our ships, you know, not too large, but can handle itself in like a okay fight.
I gotcha. Well, you know, why don't we do this? Because it seems like you're trying to figure things out, right? Why don't you head back over to your vessel? I've got your information. I'll wire you a job if I come across one that's in that region. I mean, you're kind of narrowing things down a bit for me if you're saying it has to be over there. So, I mean, sure, the quick go-to is make sure the rest of the Batarians are dead, but I'll be honest with you, nobody contracted us to take care of that. So I'm not going to pay you to do it if I don't know that a payday's coming in. Another idea is, hey, can you retrieve the memory core of the ship that got taken down? Because that could verify all the information you've given me, as well as everything else that we had on there from the ship you were on that was destroyed. But who knows if that's even still intact, so I'm not going to pay you for a maybe. That's only if you swing by. Otherwise, why don't I keep contact and reach out to you soon?
Sounds good.
He turns to Constantini and says, how much longer are you on leave for?
2 years.
Oh, okay. Sure. Anything else you need? So he says, so if that's what you're doing, is you're heading back to that region on your ship that you happen to have fall into your lap. Good for you, I guess. I'll reach out to you soon.
All right.
Oh, one more thing. Is there anybody else in your crew?
We do have 2 people that we travel with.
People? I don't know what you're talking about over there. We got one little brat guy, and then we got a big old robot. I don't want to call them people. Half one person.
Carmine would count them as people for pay.
Yeah.
If nothing else.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know.
He's like.
It'd just be 2 people.
Skills? I mean, we're talking, it's a pretty small group there. Is this like an infiltration group? I mean, gesturing to Constantinia. Is this like a strike team gesturing towards the big guy that's there and Carmine? I mean, espionage? You have any sexy ladies that look great in dresses? I mean, anything I can have to work with? Do they have a file with us?
They don't. One of them was a local, and the other, I don't even know how he ended up there.
Well, you know.
But we've got ourselves a decent hacker and a decent pilot, so.
All right.
We can handle ourselves.
When I reach out to you, which again will be soon, I'll send you some information to have them, same paperwork that you had to fill out with me before, to have them fill out that information to make sure that we can get you on file, okay? Remember, anybody that's on file gets full pay. Anybody that's not on file gets only 70% of the cut.
All right.
Okay. So, I'll be seeing you around. Imagine you guys get up. Your friend is kind of like gets up slowly, and he's like,
I would actually hang around a little bit longer than the other 2.
Sure.
If that is okay.
Gets that in about 30 seconds. He's actually, as he walks up with Carmine, he's like, I'm going to head my way over to that medical area. I don't know if it was maybe just your company or something I ate, but my belly hurts a little bit. And, you know, it's right in that spot where you thought you would be saving my life, but instead you did a shitty job, you know what I'm saying? So I'm just going to head over to that medical area now. Have that look at there.
Did a shitty job saving his life, he said as he walks away.
Yeah. He was like, yep. and
now he's someone else's problem.
And he walks away. All right, so Constantinia, Carmine walks out. I'm sure he's got this chip burning a hole in his pocket, and he's going to run over to a bank to see what's in it.
Yeah, I would just let them know that I am operating on behalf of human-Taurian relations between my family and my race, and I would prefer jobs that would benefit that and not hinder it.
Oh, I see.
And by prefer, I mean I won't take any otherwise.
See, you want to do. I get what you're saying. You want to keep things on the up and up. You know what I mean? I'll have you know, here at HMA, we never ever do anything that could jeopardize the wonderful name we have here. Our slogan is actually marching for humanity for a better tomorrow. So as long as you are with us, I can guarantee that your name will go in the books as being pro-human.
I would like to help you, and I hope that goes forward.
Now, that all being said, you're still into the ripping, maiming, tearing, and breaking of people, right?
Define people.
Non-humans.
Yes.
Okay. We'll keep them criminal, though. We'll keep them criminal. I'll be reaching out to you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And you can lead to head out. The two of you will head by a terminal or the Avena or anything like that. They can look at your bank chip for you and let you see.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, each one of those credits is worth 17,000 credits. Each one of those chips.
Now that's what I'm talking about.
Yes. Each one of those chips.
I guess you did bring down a cruiser with your bare hands. So now that I
We
think
took it
about
with
it,
a little
that's
tiny
actually,
frigate.
Literally.
it's actually a good pay. Now that I think about it.
I mean, there was a lot of hazard involved, so most of it's probably hazard pay.
Yep. So 17,000 credits for each of you. So whatever that adds up to, I think 34,000 credits between you. Now, if you think that you should each have the 17,000, or if you think that somehow the other two assisted you in this job and they deserve some of that money, that's between you and your conscience. But in the meanwhile, you're on the Citadel and you've got 17,000 credits. Or is there something specific that you wanted to spend the money on that you think you might be able to find?
Gambling? No, just kidding.
Bang.
Can I get better armor with this or no? I don't think so.
I mean, you certainly could purchase armor if you can get your hands on some decent armor. Yeah, Torian armor.
I'll try to do that then. I have basic armor right now.
All right, ready? Combat hard suits. You know you love it. Don't lie. Let me go over there for you right now.
It's so bad. You make websites for a living. How could you allow an automatically playing audio file on your codex?
It's that thing you love to hate,
if
and you
any
won't
of you
miss it when it's gone.
want to get rid of it, you can just disable the JavaScript on the site, and I can tell you how to do that if you want.
I'm like, sure, but at this point,
I should have thought about that.
I'm just letting you know you can do it.
I mean,
I can tell you how.
Erin, what's your for armor? What is
My
your...
armor is basic right now.
Yeah. I'm just wondering what you're proficient in. So give me one second.
Question.
What is your actual armor
1.
skill? Okay. Skill for armor. I'm just trying to get there. There it is. Oh, sorry, it's navigation. 1 allows you to wear up to light armor. So you can definitely buy better armor. Let's close that one. Let's go over to light. So again, is whether or not you can find higher quality than just the basic. So it's only 800 credits for a level 1 light armor, which is damage resistance 4, shields 15, etc., etc. It's actually only 2,400 credits to go all the way up to the high end of that armor. That's if you're buying it at manufacturer's cost. You're not going to be buying at manufacturer's cost here if you even want to go so far as to get it.
I'm sorry. Actually, I think I have light armor because I have AC 16, DR4, shields 15.
Yeah, that's probably. What's your dexterity?
My dexterity is 18.
So it's +2. So yeah, I think you are wearing light armor.
So never mind. I can't afford. I have best armor that I can afford right now. I imagine.
What's your damage resistance?
My DR is 4.
So actually, you can technically get better. Give me 1 second.
Cool.
Yeah. So you could, if you wanted to, upgrade your armor to being medium quality of light armor. If you actually look at that chart, you can head over 1 step. Here, bring your shields up to 20. Bring your damage resistance up to 5. Actually increases your hard points by 1, which is funny because you don't really use weapons. You could
Aren't soldiers proficient in medium armor by default?
No. Remember, that all changed.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So you actually could upgrade that if you wanted to. It actually wouldn't kill you for cost. Specifically, Torian crafted one on the Citadel. I would say about 2,200 credits. Because again, you're paying Citadel fees.
Mm-hmm. How much were it paid?
17,000. So it's only 2,200.
Oh, yeah, that's not bad.
Yeah. She's like, because big amounts of money are good for the ship.
Mm-hmm.
Your person is super easy to upgrade. However, you know, if you can't survive where you're going.
I would do that and buy a bunch of food for myself.
Oh dear.
I
Yeah.
wonder, why do you need special food? What's going on? Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah. All right.
How
Cool.
odd.
Anything else that you cared to look at for yourself at the moment?
No. That's really it.
Okay.
I guess I should get a weapon. Maybe like a sniper rifle for like super far combat.
Well, you definitely have a pistol and assault rifle that you already picked up.
Mm-hmm. Yep. But like, I don't know. I'm really unuseful in like close combat, so like I can pick up a sniper rifle like for like farther away.
Sure. I mean, if you want to pick up a sniper rifle, you're more than welcome to do so. Assault rifle, just so you know, has a really huge range, but a sniper rifle is that huge range, which is nice.
It was a shitty sniper rifle, though, wasn't it? Or no?
No, I think you picked up a decent Battalion assault rifle.
Yeah. Your assault rifle is the good, the regular one.
I'll
yeah.
just keep that then.
But
No
do you
problem.
want a sniper rifle? You want to know the rules for that one?
Not really. I don't really care about that much, to be
cool.
honest.
Cool.
Cool.
All right, Carmine. Anything particular that you wanted to purchase?
I mean, a bit of extra armor resistance and some extra shields is nice. Granted, I'm up to 15 now because of the basic armor. So if I were to get like, I don't know, what do you say to Constantinia was like the best armor she could get here, light armor wise?
What's your skill level in the skill called armor?
It should be a 1 as well. Let me quickly. Yeah, I'm a level 1 in armor.
Okay, so you can wear. Oh, actually, you know what's funny, Constantinia? I think you were actually wearing basic armor, but because because if you actually look at the skill level for armor at 1, you actually wear basic armor with a +1 AC.
Oh.
Yeah.
Nifty, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So I think you actually just upgraded, definitely. So you still have basic armor sitting around for a Torian. Whether if you wanted to sell that, or if you wanted to,
I mean, yeah, I would just sell it and get rid of it.
I didn't know if you wanted to keep it as like a backup.
That's a good idea.
Okay. All right, moving over to you, Carmine. I'm sorry. You can wear light armor, and wearing light armor, the same idea is that you can wear the same armor she is, just made for a human. So once again, 2,200 is what I would charge you, and you would get all the stats for that.
Okay, so basically a high light armor.
Medium light armor, yeah. Yep, medium quality light. It's step 2. There's stage 2 with light armor. So it's 5, 15, 3, 2. Which actually, you use your hard points. That's actually really good for you. Because that's like, ooh, I have 1 for assault rifle, 1 for shotgun, and 1 for pistol. Now it takes up 0 of my actual I'm unencumbered wearing armor and having 3 weapons on me.
I mean, I have 6 like capacity for ready stuff, so it doesn't really matter. But like the extra damage resistance and the 20 shields would be nice.
Yep. Oh, absolutely. And what's your dexterity too?
It's a 2. Like I don't care about AC.
Oh, that's right. You don't care about the other reason. That's funny. But you're also wearing legitimate armor now, which is nice to that illicit shit or whatever you had before. Okay, and then the other thing for you, Rick, was the light points on this are actually 2. So the cool thing with light points is you can actually carry, 3 metagel without it weighing on you, and 2 grenades without it weighing on you. So
I already had that with the basic armor.
Oh, you already had the 2 light points? Awesome. So
yeah, I got like good basic armor from that officer on the planet.
Cool. So I don't know what you have beyond all of that shit that we just described, like I guess a couple demo charges, but you have a lot of stuff on you. Did you have anything else you wanted to get, Rick?
I would look into getting binoculars, maybe some tsunami as well.
So that's an illicit material, getting your hands on that. But binoculars are super easy to get your hands on. You should probably just pick up a bunch of them for everybody. For the good ones, they're 200 credits each.
Yeah, I'm getting a good pair.
Okay. That's so you want to get 1, or do you want to get like 1 for everybody?
I'll just get 1 for now.
Sure. Okay. And you said the tsunami?
Yeah, maybe like 1 or 2 charges.
Okay. Give me 1 second to get back over there. So we can fuck with back. Equipment, boop. Tech, boop. And tsunami costs, where are you, bastard? 50 credits each.
Yep, so I would like to get 2 doses for like 100 credits then.
Okay. Now remember, well, so that's 50 credits each, but you also have to roll a check to be able to get your hands on them. So roll for me, because you're trying to get an illicit material. It's going to be a talk, charisma, or... one second. Talk charisma, a lore charisma, or an administrator charisma to get your hands on that.
Bloody hell. I'm just gonna go with tall charisma, even though I'm not gonna get it.
Okay. So, you rolled pretty poorly. You weren't able to find... You didn't critical fail, so you didn't tip anybody off, but you weren't able to find any tsunami, unfortunately.
That's fine.
Okay. It does require first aid 1 to actually administer, so luckily you got that. Anything else that you want to get? You see Metagel. How much Metagel do you actually have on you?
Just 2 right now.
They're 150 each. And there's also Citadel. I'm not sure if you saw what that was. Citadel is the legal version of Metagel. Because Metagel is illegal, but don't worry, you can find it everywhere. It's literally one of those things.
It's totally illegal, guys, we swear.
On the Presidium, you're not going to find it because the regulations there are high, but then you go like down below and there's literally like a huge sign that says Metagel here. It's like, yep, Massachusetts, marijuana's illegal. Totally can't smoke it. It's illegal. Walk into a dispensary.
I will
actually have a look at the...
buy Sid some chocolate over here.
Oh, wow.
From the dispensary?
Chocolate from this? Sure. Is there a human dispensary here?
I was gonna say CBD chocolate.
Regular chocolate.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Good.
Yeah. Awesome. Another thing you guys might want to be able to get your hands on is interstellar maps. So I don't know if you saw the star charts there. Chocolate, by the way, Aaron, it's one of those things where you spend 5 credits, you get it. How many days worth of rations did you want to buy?
What's a good amount?
That's a good question. Let me just get to this
A
thing.
lot, because, you know,
last season,
where we are.
at least a month is a good idea, and I think we ended up having like 3 months.
Yeah, for us,
As much-
Pace, we get marooned.
Scott, I'll buy as much as I can. Like,
Sure,
to be
sure.
honest,
So
I can keep
Your
that going
ship's
bad.
life support, assuming 4 crew members, which I don't know, I did the math by 4. I think it was before I knew that we were going to have a robot with us. When you assume 4 crew members on the ship, life support is for 152 days, is what it sits at, which is like, holy crap, that's amazing. So maybe, mind you, there's only 120 days remaining. So you do 120 days just so you're like on par with the rest of the ship. Rations cost 5 credits a day. So it's 5 times 120.
That's 600.
Are you doing it or am I doing it?
I did it right there. Sorry. That was 120. Sorry, 600 credits. And then you
Yeah,
don't
that's
have to worry about anything like that for the foreseeable future.
Yeah. I'm also gonna buy like stuff like alcohol for me and whatnot, like fun stuff.
Alcohol.
Torian alcohol.
Sure. If you want, just spend like an extra 50 credits and grab fun stuff.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's fine. Yeah.
So
That's all I want.
650 is all you spend.
Fun stuff.
Fun stuff.
Hey,
Including chocolate for you. Gosh.
All right, moving on. So, did you want to buy any Metagel? Anybody?
I would go for 1 Medigel and like 6 units of Citadel.
Okay. Cool. Citadel is way cheaper. Did you actually read the difference between the two of them?
I did, yeah. You can't use Citadel on like mortally wounded people, so people like Sid back in Rushing Hill.
Correct.
But yeah, they can be used for basically just healing non-people that are not medically about to die.
Exactly. You can heal injured people. Metagel heals injured people slightly better, not worth the extra 100 credits worth it better. However, it can, like you just said, save a life. So, which is awesome. All right, cool.
How much is Metagel? Should I buy some?
150 credits each, yeah.
I'll buy a couple. Yeah. Why not? For the crew.
Cool. All right, awesome. All right, and does that cover everything that you guys were hoping to pick up?
Yeah.
I wanted to look at weapon upgrades for a little.
Your weapon actually has, your Omni tool actually has a blade on it, doesn't it?
Yes, but I wanted to look at weapon upgrades, not...
No, I was just checking. For the record,
yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm running, with an Omni blade.
Sid does not have an Omni tool at all, just as a heads up reminder, whatever you want. And a Sid would probably like an engineer's Omni tool, which is 2,000 credits, just again as a heads up. And don't forget, Omni Gel costs 10 credits each. Omni Gel has several uses. It's all listed right there in the website. Omni Gel, something that...
I would probably suggest to Constantini that if we're going to be running with Sid for a while, we get them an engineer tool and we both chip in like 1,000.
I said it's right
That's
there.
fine.
But
I will do that. Here you go.
Omni Gel thing is missing. But it does. Like the page is now blank. That's annoying.
I'll also grab them six Omni Gel just out of pocket. It's only $60.
Okay.
Can we grab them something better than just this, or no?
I think this is the best that we can get. Like, Engineer's Omni tool is specific for like hacky stuff and things. Except if you go like a black slab, which is an extra increase, but very illegal.
Yeah, very, very.
You would know better than I would. I transfer the credits over.
Oh, Mantis.
Okay, so that's that. I've got... some Omni Gel. Just trying to keep track of all the things now. And then I'd like to look at some weapon upgrades for my rifle and a shotgun, if possible.
Sure. I think that kind of stuff, though, we're going to have to do off.
Yeah, like, I didn't want to do too much shopping on camera, but then things...
No. I'm fine with some shopping on camera, but once you get to a certain point, it becomes difficult to continue.
Yeah, let's get moving then. We'll handle the rest later.
Of course. Okay, I do want to check one more thing, though, for this on-camera bit. Those are grenades. You know, there's different types of grenades or whatever. Give me 1 second.
Oh yeah, and different types of ammo as well.
Yeah, where's the tech area? Is that where I have it? Oh, here we go. So there's weapon... Wait, is that here? So weapon supplies. There's the ammunition upgrade, the clip upgrade, the scope upgrade, and the thermal clips are each 100 credits each. Did you see those there?
Yeah, I noticed that. I already have 6 thermal clips. So I'm like,
So you probably need to get the clip upgrade itself.
Yeah, but like...
But we can do that
if that's
again
the
off
thing
camera.
you want to do on camera, then that's fine.
No. I was just making sure that you saw what that was while we were on the conversation, because you could look while I turn my attention over. Okay, so you guys subtracted all the monies off of your characters, correct?
Yep.
Yes.
Gorgeous. Beautiful. Love it. You eventually get back onto a shuttle and get your way back to the other two.
Mm-hmm.
Your friend, I'm just going to sit here. I don't know where you guys are going. You seem like you're doing a little bit boring. Simple bunch of little scientists going flying around, bunch of planets and shit. I don't know what I want to do anything like that. I'm going to go kill some. You know what I mean? Do you say a heartfelt...
one way out.
Do you give him a heartfelt goodbye?
Bye, Felicia.
I'd basically tell him to fuck off and just...
Shut the fuck up! And like grab you by the front of your shirt and pull you in and give you like a crushing bear hug. Like, I'll see you around, friend. You know, obnoxious noogie like you're 13. You know.
Oh dear.
And we'll go out his own way. Cool. You guys get back to the vessel. When you get back to the vessel, it's after this scene. The two of you arrive back onto Terra Nova, where you've of course acquired that information which she had requested, and you, I imagine, send a notice to her saying, "Hey, we acquired the information." Mm-hmm. She will set up, because you gave her the heads up, a means for you to hook up a direct channel, like a link. So if you imagine, like, there are some ways, there are programs that exist even nowadays, where you can be like, "Hey, I need to talk to you," and they go, "Cool, brrr, come here, it's secure," and then you go over to it. So she'll set up something like that. She opens up the secure network. You send the information over. She reaches back out to you about an hour later on, saying that they were very satisfied with what it was that you were able to provide for them. They, as a to hold up their end of the bargain, they are signing their side of the more or less the deal that they're making with you, that we are going to have an open channel with you moving forward for this kind of stuff. They're refueling your ship. for you back up to complete, which is wonderful. And they're also going to give you a 2,000 credit boost. So just as like what you just provided for us is important information. Here's a 2,000 credit boost. The last thing they're going to give to you is, if this information for the mines does turn out to be something that is profitable for the Alliance, they're willing to sell you fuel at half cost here in exchange for the information that you did. But you won't have that information for a few months. Okay?
Right. I will essentially pocket the money. Like, I imagine Icarus does all about communicating, and it just says, Sid was like, job well done.
Yep.
We can now scan more planets, more giants, and make more money.
Okay.
I suggest we put that money we just earned for the scanning towards a ship fund, so we could just get things people need from that.
Engine fund.
I was kind of assuming Icarus kind of would be a ship fund, because he has no other
like,
needs.
Carmine's just like he's declaring.
Well, if you show up and
idea.
you say that, he's like, "Do you have any funds for the ship fund?"
Not yet. We'll work on it, buddy.
I will deposit the rest of my money into the ship fund.
How much is that?
A good amount. It was 20,000
Yeah.
total, right, Scott? That we got originally.
You got 17,000.
17,000. Somebody did the
Oh,
math.
sorry,
Super quick.
17,000 originally. My apologies.
I should have. It's like when the teacher's like, "Did I give you homework last week?"
17,000.
Everyone's
I was
like,
gonna do afterwards. 17,000 minus 1,600 minus the 500 minus the 50.
I spent a fair bit of money. I'm down to like 13,840 credits.
14,000. 14,000 I'll give you. Assuming that like we are gonna be
Hanging out.
hanging out further.
Wait, like if you hand over that.
I will be like, this will be for if we are continuing our journey to the next mission.
What is the next mission?
We will wait and see.
I
We are
managed
waiting for that
to get in contact with the people that hired us initially. They're willing to work with us more. I've let them know that we are kind of restricted to this area of space for the time being, and they will let us know if a opportunity comes towards us. And at this point, Carmine will hand them or send them the paperwork. We'll also give Sid the engineer's Omni tool and give them the basic rundown on how to use it. Give them 6 Omni gel to do things with, and explain to both Icarus and Sid that if they file this paperwork that he's going to give them, that they will be able to earn a fair share of the money. Otherwise, they only earn 70%. So just get it done and whatever.
Fill out the paperwork. Take this credit. Consider it in advance for fuel and rations and whatnot that I'm giving you. And this is a present. And I will hand the chocolate to Sid.
Sid takes the chocolate, just looks at it, it's like, I don't know what this is.
It's compatible with your biology.
You'll love it.
Hold on.
You can smell
When
it.
you smell it. There's something raw biology going on here. You smell. You're a young lady, and you just smell chocolate for the first time, and you're just like, I don't know what this is.
Oh, hell yeah.
But I'm a very happy young lady.
And she's allergic. She has it, and she dies.
Death by chocolate, my favorite
You
cake.
find her in the captain quarters, dead, surrounded by chocolate.
Oh. Okay, so we're of course going to pick up next week with what the next mission is going to be and all that stuff. Before we go, one of the things I do want to say is that what Omnigel does, because it wasn't written on there, but just so you guys know, it does work like spare parts in case you're familiar with Stars Without Number.
Oh.
So things that you use for fixing stuff, but also you can use Omnigel depending on what the job is. I will tell you it requires this much Omnigel or this much Omnigel to give you a +1 to do a check. Like, I wanted to crypt this. Okay, sure, throw 2 Omnigel on there and it allows you to kind of soak into the circuits. And, oh, I need to repair this. Okay, blah, 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 blah. Okay?
It's also the only way you can heal me.
Well, there's also spare parts directly.
If you're saying they're the same thing,
Yeah. This
then
is
they're
like
the same.
this is like a polyplastic version of a quick heal that does work. So, all right, moving on. So awesome, you guys are all set back on your ship. You have a bunch of credits. Ollie, over on the Veil handout, there actually is a spot in there that says ship funds. If you want to fill out that.
Not for me. Oh yeah, there is.
Yep, for all players. So if you actually write that on there, the whole party can see what the ship funds are. Just so I know, what is the total number for ship funds?
Can you
just
write
over
that
16,000.
1,400 in there? And I'll write
Yeah.
my remainder on my share sheet.
Yeah. Just over 16,000, Scott.
Cool, awesome. So that's for the ship funds. Just as a reminder, currently your weapon doesn't work. As we discussed ages ago, as a reminder, it would cost you about 35,000 credits to get that weapon and everything else fully functional.
Yeah, I figured we'd probably the start of the next session is using this funds to fix the ship and maybe get a new drive, and then we'll see.
I
We
would
brought
also
the parts to fix the gun,
probably
didn't we?
put that
Or-
med gel in there as well.
Sure.
Is it going in
two
the
that I
med bay?
bought.
Yeah, you can
Yeah.
put it in the med bay. Yeah, it's a good idea, Aaron.
I'll do that.
So those two in there as well as the 14,000.
I always think the cost of Stars Without Never items to be kind of goofy, because like the maintenance of a ship, of this in particular ship, which is a smaller kind of weaker ship, is 20,000 credits every like 6 months or whatever it is. So there's the whole idea of why do you even charge for things like a gun? Because you're like, we're just gonna skip maintenance for a month, and we're just gonna have amazing weapons and armor. Because like 1 6-month gap of time worth of maintenance is we're all wearing the best armor and ship we can get our hands on. You know what I mean? Like, so I always think it's.
I mean,
So it's a
true.
ship that can go between planets in space.
No, it makes sense. It makes sense logically. I'm not arguing that. I'm just saying the idea that you're also charging for small scale things is like, it seems kind of funny to me.
Oh,
So-
you want like a World of Darkness, Call of Cthulhu, like you can just sort of buy things.
Yeah, it just made it
Like
would
you
make
have a
more sense.
wealth.
So exactly. Yeah. So I took the cost of what things are supposed to be, turned it into Mass Effect, and blew up the price of weapons and shit like that. I was like, way more expensive. Fuck you. It's a little bit more difficult. But yeah, something to think about for future games. But doesn't matter for now.
We can plan that next week.
Or
Yeah.
never. All right.
I mean, we need to fix the ship.
Derp Digital, who are you? How do we find you?
Hi.
What's your name?
My name is Rick. I do things on YouTube. Right now, I'm playing Frostpunk. Actually, I got my code a couple of days ago, couple of days before release, so that was kind of cool. And yeah, I'm just playing that right now, trying to survive the cold. It's going all right. I had to restart because the preview build ran out. You know, game release. So there goes my save. That's fine. Good excuse to play more, really. Yeah, that's what I'm doing on youtube.com/derpdigital. I'm gonna stream again at some point, but right now I'm just easing back into regular content, so I'm taking it chill.
Chill. Ollie, who are you? How can I find you?
I'm Ollie. The important thing is that in 1 hour, my D&D show with Scott and Aaron is going to be live, minus Dean Code. I know that might be a deal breaker to some people. There's no Dean this week.
What?
Scott apparently forgot. You were told.
No!
You were there when he told me. So, you know, that's really just Scott can't remember something for a week. Is really the
I
evidence
just
here.
remembered. I stubbed my toe and have to go shopping. I'm not gonna make it this week, Ollie.
Have to go shopping? What are you shopping for?
I don't know. It doesn't matter. Dean's not there.
A new friend. But then there's also all the other stuff I do on my channel basically every other day. And art. I've just posted a new illustration on Twitter if you care about that stuff.
Okay.
That's me.
Thank you. Frank.
Hi, I'm Controller Frank. You can find me at Controller Frank on Twitch, Twitter, and Discord. You know, I just bought a new car, so I'm broke again. Just like my character, I'm poor and a techno-barbarian.
Wait, are you a techno barbarian in real life?
I mean, yes.
Have you seen it?
Are you though?
Have you seen me?
Well,
The fact that I'm seeing you proves you
no.
on.
Not really.
No,
I've never
techno-barbarian.
touched your face.
I
So,
mean, it's very...
I
Someone
do want to touch
complimented... Ooh, I'm getting new glasses this week. And the lady there complimented my beard, saying, "Oh, your beard looks so thick." It's like, oh, thank you. My beard does look so thick.
the beard's not the
So-
only thing that's thick. Have you seen my
Hey.
wrists?
How many C's
Look at
it's
this.
used to
I know, I
describe
have
it? Like, how
really-
thick is it?
Really thick hands.
Yeah. Like, I can't even get a watch to fit. It's so uncomfortable. And
I know
Aaron,
that feeling. Hi! I'm Aaron. I'm here on Wednesdays, and I'm on Ollie's channel later today. And then I'm on Scott's channel on Fridays. And I'm on Discord, and that's me. Hi.
A new person
I
just
also
joined
have-
Discord and said
can.
that Kieran is their favorite character. And
It's everyone's favorite character.
To be fair, yeah.
it's
I
like
think
Stalvar
Yeah, yeah.
and Kieran.
On the poll, it was Stalvar and Kieran. It's responsible people and irresponsible people.
And then you have like people with like fishing rods, like trying to pull up.
Do you know how many
right.
people I saw saying like, "I'm voting for right because no one else is"?
Yeah.
On that poll.
And then it was like, fuck Luca.
Well, right,
No, that was
Rick is
stupid,
my
Eric.
favorite.
Yeah.
Like,
All
Rick is one of my favorites. Luca fucking sucks.
Yeah.
Let's be honest here.
I agree.
No one like
Agree
Luca.
with that.
Right, so how good was he really?
I'm Dalric.
Awful.
Google Dalric. You'll find me. Join the Discord below or see us in an hour over on twitch.tv/Olirant. Otherwise, I'll see you around. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.
Get over there.
No.
No.
You need to go take a nap. Actually, no. You gotta get lunch
Nap.
and then take a nap.
I'm hard to take a nap.
I got everything up until I stopped right before she just said petty. Yeah.